Sweden finished third, they're probably going to go play France. So of any of the groups at the World Cup, the way that it got drawn, these are probably the teams that are incredibly unlucky. I think these are probably, it's certainly in Netherlands and Japan's case, teams that can reasonably expect to reach a quarterfinal with a better draw. I think they've been that good so far in this tournament. Japan's goal in that game was absolutely fantastic. And then the Netherlands, I think, have really improved as the tournament has gone on. So I think you look at these matchups, they're incredibly difficult. Morocco making a semifinal. I think if you're asking me who in that game, I would make the Netherlands slight favorites. I think Morocco just lose that little bit, particularly with El Azouli out because of injury. I think Morocco have just been that little bit less than I expected, but still, it's an incredibly difficult match for the Netherlands.
Yeah, Netherlands putting up 10 goals in these group stages. Haven't done so since 2014, long time.
Yeah, I think they've surpassed expectation in that regard, but I think the beauty of it is where the goals have come from, and it's been all over the pitch. That's what you need at a World Cup. You need everyone to absolutely step up, but I think it's something to say for Morocco coming into that game, though, and being favourites. Nobody would have called that 5-6 years ago. So the improvement that they've had, obviously semi-finalists in the last World Cup. So the amount of rotations they made against Haiti, though, I think in conceding multiple goals might hit them a little bit. So they need to be absolutely on it. But I think from a player perspective, Saibari's been a standout for Morocco. He's been brilliant. But Netherlands all round have definitely improved. I think, especially, I keep talking about Van Dijk, but the season he had to step up at a major tournament, there's been a huge difference, and getting a goal for himself as well. So tight game this one, right? We said off
100%. And I've been pushing the Morocco narrative for a long while now. I was interested to see how they would transition, especially now you're talking about a new manager that only got appointed really on March 5th of this year. But everything I've seen from Mohamed Webby so far has really showcased to me that not only does he have a pulse of that team, especially what you've seen in their transitions. I thought their performance against Brazil in the group stage did showcase that Morocco is a nation that no longer can be slept on. And it was interesting to see in terms of the dynamic because, you know, the surprise package of 2022 is one aspect when you're hunting people down. You know what I mean? No one really has a good pulse as to who you are, and maybe you're surprising people with momentum as the tournament goes on. But now this conversation has switched from being the hunters to the hunted. There's no more surprises as to who they are. We've seen them in terms of whether you classify them as champions or finalists in AFCON, what they've done already there, what they've showcased in terms of the world-class talent they have in Hakimi and Saibari, who we've already spoken about, who's had a great tournament, both leading their lines respectively, and even one of them making a move. So that really does showcase where Morocco is overall as a nation. And I don't really believe that we should be doubting them anymore. I do agree, and especially what Chris said, there are absentees, especially within this squad in the final third, that have magic moments and has one-off maybe opportunities to kind of win a game by themselves. But what I would say is that Morocco as a team have been the embodiment of consistency over the last couple of years. And they find ways to win games, not necessarily the most fluid way like they were in 2022, but what I'd see now is that they really understand how to manage games of football and also how to implement themselves. So I actually give them, rightfully so, the favourite tag in going into this, and I do think they will be progress past the Netherlands.
Chris, who do you think has the edge in this one?
Yeah, so I think we're going to go kind of position by position in the group. So I believe we're going to start with the defense and goalkeeper. So this is a really interesting one because I think going into the tournament, you look at the Netherlands defense on paper, it's superb. It's Dumfries, Van Hecke, Van Dijk, and Van de Ven with Verbruggen in goal, but they've given away more. I'm still going to give the edge, though, to the Netherlands because, not necessarily because of their defensive work, because of how much they've added going forward. Van Dijk has contributed a goal. We saw Van Hecke get one in the Tunisia game as well. Dumfries, I think, is a massive part of their attack going forward. He's an incredibly creative player. So I'm going to give the edge to the Netherlands in terms of defense. In terms of midfield, if we're including Saibari as part of that midfield, obviously he's more of an attack-minded player, but he kind of plays as a number 10. I'm going to say that the midfield actually is that little bit better for Morocco, even though they've got some good names, Netherlands, in terms of Gravenberch, de Jong, and Reinders. It's a good group of players, but I still like the way that Morocco actually express their identity through their midfield.
No, I couldn't agree more. Between Brahim Diaz, Bouadi, and Morocco are standouts for me in that sense. Yeah. Bouadi, number one. I think the experience he showed throughout this tournament, composure on the ball, always creating space for himself.
You're making a face? You're not having it?
For me,
Over Netherlands?
I mean, who's the Netherlands midfielder? Just so I can get this right. Gravenberch,
De Jong, and Reinders.
Okay, all right.
It's a great group of players.
That is a phenomenal. I think that midfield.
Though?
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree. I think Boadi has been fantastic. I think what he showcased in this World Cup, and Brahim Diaz is another one that I think definitely owes the Moroccan people a moment after the Paninka in the final. But what I would say is I'm not going to count across that. That Netherlands midfield has experience, it has pace, it has balance. I think if they are going to talk about one strong point of their team, the centre midfield is their best asset.
Yeah, and then we get to the attack, which has been fantastic at this World Cup so far. So I'm actually going to give the advantage in the attack to the Netherlands because Brian Brobby, I think, is an answer that they have found in the center of that forward line, which I think has been very good. Cody Gakpo has been inconsistent, but I still think he's obviously a very talented player. And then off that right side, whether it is Somerville or Daniel Malen, I think that is another really good group of players for the Netherlands. And then we'll go to intangibles. Intangibles is obviously a tough one to identify. I don't know. I think I'm actually going to give this to the Netherlands. The way that the Orange Army has started off in terms of getting behind the team, the marches to the stadium, the level of atmosphere that they've provided to these games. I think they've been very good in providing that fan support. I think there's some reasonable vibes around the team with the Netherlands. I think they've grown into the tournament as well. So I'll give them the advantage in tangibles. And also in terms of the manager. Even though Ronald Koeman gets a lot of criticism, I do think that...
What has he proven to be given the nod as a manager?
Well, I mean, what has the Morocco manager proven?
Okay, what's Ronald Koeman proven?
The Morocco manager is in charge of his sixth game at the in charge of Morocco.
And he's won things at youth level though. Within a similar group. Okay, so I'm going back to my initial question. What has Ronald Koeman, not the legend, not the player,
Ronald Koeman got the Netherlands to the quarterfinals of the Euros.
McDelivery? We're in!
Oh, fries to me.
Wait, did someone say fries? I'm in.
McDonald's and football? I'm in. Bring it home with McDelivery.
Welcome to Harlan's Bank. Revolut. He earns interest, paid daily, and withdraws anytime.
They performed well at that tournament.
Okay.
So you're going to go with a completely unproven manager as being better than Ronald Koeman.
I'm going with the guy that knows this group of players, and this is what annoys me about football managers. And this isn't just a Ronald Koeman thing. This is the same thing I heard with John Terry talking earlier. Your player stage has nothing to do with what you've proven as a manager, right? And what has he proven as a manager? I've seen a number of failures from Ronald Koeman as a head coach. He's actually very lucky to still have this job. Even the second time round, for me, I really showcases the shortcoming of Dutch managers in terms of the pipeline that they trust. But what has he proven so far as a manager or a head coach, as a Netherlands head coach, to showcase that he's better than what's sitting?
I think he's
proven something that he's been kept in the job.
Say it again one more time.
Proving something is being kept in the job and not getting fired, considering the amount of managers that do get fired in modern football. That would be my one thing I would say to that.
But Jen, is he not getting fired because of his name and because of what he produced, or what he's actually done? Because I look at the players that's been across his table that he's had in both his tenures as a Netherlands head coach, and for me, he's been extremely disappointing. He has been extreme for the quality that he's had at his array, for what he's actually produced. He's been extremely disappointing.
Why do you think he stays in it then?
Because I think Netherlands has got this real. They've got this real narrative around them where they're because they haven't won it yet. It's like they almost want to beat the monkey off their back with the people that have kind of paved the way for them. So they'll give extra chances to the Koemans of this world, the Bergkamps if he ever wanted to get into it, the Mark Overmarses, because they look at that, that's the golden generation that put them on a completely different plateau, your Ruud Gullits. But I ask myself, so if I'm taking you individually as some of those people, what have they done from a coaching perspective? Ronald Koeman is very lucky. He's very, very lucky for what he's produced.
This is how both these nations compare in the World Cup. Canada have played in it 3 times, South Africa have played in it 4 times. South Africa have had 3 wins, Canada only 1 win, and they're both appearing in their first ever knockout round of a World Cup. Who do we think the pressure is on going into this one, Whitty? Do we think it's South Africa or Canada?
Thinking it's not really on, but may as well have a lash at it. You know, it's early on. He has caught that perfectly, underside of the crossbar and bounced out. What a great start to this game. Well, we wondered if they were going to go for it. No, we know one player who is, without a shadow of a doubt.
The fastest goal ever at a World Cup, incidentally, is Hakan Şükür in 2002 with 11 seconds for Turkey against South Korea. But
a game I was at. Would you believe?
You were there for that game?
I was there for that game. I'll tell you something very strange about that game. Hakan Şükür scores against South Korea in South Korea, and the South Korean fans cheered because South Koreans love Turks. Long story, that one.
That would have been the third fastest goal in the history of the World Cup finals. As Doué runs in field, the referee gets in the way. Uncontested drop ball. After Hakan Şükür, Václav Mašek, 15 seconds in 1962. They're the only two that would have been quicker had that one gone in. And the Watford goalkeeper, Egil Selbik, didn't seem to know a great deal about it as it flashed past his ears.
Do you know, there's times you come for those sort of angles and keepers get the blame if the ball goes past them from that angle. But some of the players now hit these balls at such pace. Like, I don't think any human can react to it that quickly.
So Norway, in their red, are playing from left to right as we look. And they're coming forward now on that far side. This is with Torsved. He's got Strand Larsen going ahead of him. He makes his way in towards the penalty area. He goes to ground. Michael Oliver has a look at it. And there is no decision. He's unmoved as the English official. As the ball comes out towards Theo Hernandez on this this near side. Doué. Pat Nevin.
Do you know, it's interesting. You can't keep your eyes off of Kylian Mbappe. He's picking up some amazing positions. He got it in the right wing. As I speak, he's just won the ball back again. Honestly, he really fancies it today.
Doué. That was Asgard who actually caught him with the challenge. The referee said he got the ball. Goes out wide. It's played in towards Mbappe. Mbappe right-hand side of the area. And then Leo Østegård, who had a couple of loan spells at Coventry and Stoke after starting his career at Brighton and Hove Albion. Now plays his football in Italy for Genoa with the challenge. But it's been a lively start, 3.5 minutes in.
And Mbappe's playing as if his life depended on it just now, hasn't he? He's closing down high, he's taking out interesting positions. He's chasing everything. You just wonder, has the manager said to him, I'll give you 45 minutes, put it all in there, we shall see.
Dembele rolls it in. This is Koundé with a cutback. Norway eventually get the ball away. Only as far as Kone fires it in. Selbik makes the save. Pulled back towards Kone, missed it with a slash of the left boot. Runs out now towards Doué. Little ball clipped in towards Elise. And then that was Henrik Falconer to stoop to head the ball behind. We've only been playing for 4 minutes.
Fantastic, yeah. Fantastic way they've started here just now. What's really, really impressive about it is the French started so poorly in these first two games. They have started at 100 miles an hour and above for this one.
This is Elise, back towards Theo Hernandez. Theo Hernandez, the left back, runs over the head of Elise. This is Doué, who's going to shoot from distance, and it was a low right-footed effort, trickled along the ground. And for Egil Selbik, who made 41 appearances for Watford in the Championship, only kept the 7 clean sheets, his first appearance of these World Cups, as they've made 10 changes. It was a comfortable save, but France have started extremely promisingly.
They absolutely have, and they're out enjoying it. I mean, it is, as you said, it's really sultry, it's really warm. The sun's now come out after a rainy start this morning. But it's not affecting the French in any negative way at all.
Bob picks it up on this near side. Auschnitz will go on the overlap, but Oscar Bob now of Fulham runs back in the bright sunshine. They were expecting thunderstorms towards the end of the game. Certainly when I woke up this morning at around 7:30, it was raining. It rained in Boston for about 2 hours. First thing I did was check, knowing that we're going to be in the open air, to see if it would be raining this afternoon. And as we arrived into the car park here today, the attendant did say that there is another storm due at around 5 o'clock, but by then, hopefully the game will be concluded after what happened in Philadelphia. 0-0, 5 minutes played. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, well, I hope something doesn't happen the last 2 or 3 minutes, because you then probably have to wait an hour or so to play 2 minutes, and that'll be a goal.
Mbappe with the early ball out towards Dembele. Dembele latches onto it in towards the penalty area. Dembele shoots and scores. 6 minutes played, and after 2 early warnings that were not heeded, France take the lead. And Dembele, who broke his duck for his first goal in a major tournament against Iraq, has quickly added a second. France are ahead, 1-0.
That has been coming so much since the first seconds of this game. They've come out with such a phenomenal attitude. I think they feel as if they're playing a second team, and it always feels as if the French, they're saying, what, you're giving us this little respect? You're just sending out the reserves against us? If you're doing that, we're going to take you apart. And so far, they have been sparkling up front. I mean, they've just controlled this game, dominated it. The major surprise is, I know we've only started, the major surprise is only one so far.
But Mbappe with a piercing ball that picks out Dembele. He took his time, and Dembele takes his tally to 2.
Well, just notice what you said before. The goalkeeper never seemed to move for it. He didn't move for that one either, did he? It was by him in such a flash. Absolutely brilliant thump from that precise position, actually, that Mbappe had to go for just a few minutes before.
That was his first goal in 20 major tournaments against Iraq. He's now got 2 in 20 and a bit, and France are ahead as the ball goes over the top towards Mbappe, and Mbappe just couldn't get there. Falconer managed to hook the ball away, but they're struggling to get out here in Norway. This is Theo Hernandez on this left-hand side. Hernandez takes over, he shoots low. I don't get the reasoning by Lars. They are both playing on Tuesday, but it's like they've accepted that they were always the ones going to be travelling to Dallas. There was a real opportunity that they could have been playing in New Jersey on Tuesday. Why not only make the 4 changes that France made? But anyway, a goal in the other game, Senegal-Iraq, Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, not good news for Scotland, Ian. It's Senegal 1, Iraq 0. From a corner, whipped in, and Abdoulaye Seck was there with a header. He bounced it up and over the Iraq goalkeeper. Senegal 1, Iraq 0.
There was Scotland who've been clinging on. Ideally required that game to be a draw, but then you were still looking at the other thinnest of permutations in Group H and Group G that we'll have commentary on later on 5 Live. But I know that, Pat, you know that Scotland's fate has been sealed a long time ago.
I love the fact that we're trying to add a little bit of jeopardy into it. I've not felt any jeopardy since the defeat against Brazil. I've not thought for a millisecond that Scotland are going to stay, and I don't think the Scotland team feel any different from me.
Yeah. No, I thought the writing was on the wall even before that Brazil game, to be honest with you, Pat. As you know, once they'd only beaten Haiti by 1-0 as Elise picks up the ball, but the referee, Michael Oliver, I think he's dropped his cards there, so he's brought play back. But France are ahead by 1-0, and it means with 3 wins out of 3, they would be going through as Group I winners, and they're looking at Sweden in New Jersey on Tuesday. Let's get him. Can we bring in Jules? What button do I have to press to bring in Jules, by the way? I'm a bit of a technophobe, sorry. Oh, that one was...
Well, I'll have a wee chat before, by the way. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Berg in the centre midfield has been yellow carded, hence the referee dropping his cards.
Yeah, can you hear me, Jules? Yes. Can we hear you? What have you? 10 minutes played. Oh, hold on. Strand Larsen at the other end. It'd have been quicker. He could have played in Bob. Shot fired in by Torsved, easily saved by Mike Maignan. What have you made of this this start then? You could have been 3 up.
Kind of start that Didier Deschamps and Guy Stéphane would have wanted, obviously, that early chance for Mbappe, another goal for Dembele, who we mentioned against Iraq had been struggling in major tournament, been struggling for form really for the national team compared to his form for PSG. To find a goal in a pure Dembele Ballon d'Or, where really that kind of little hook and then you shoot, you don't know where you're going to go. The ball from Mbappe is wonderful as well, and this is France at their best really when they have that kind of flow going forward.
And they're on the attack once again with Dembele. He looks for a run of Mbappe, who runs in behind Ostergaard, and it goes out of play for a France throw on the far side. It's hard to see whether the the mic button for Jules was on or not, because the sun is beating down on the back of our necks and right onto our equipment as the little flick by Elise didn't quite come off. Picked up by Kone. Well, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Teo Hernandez. Teo Hernandez with the cross. It's a deep one. Mbappe on the volley knocks it back across into the 6-yard area rather than going for goal, a la Marco van Basten. The angle would have been similar, but he was unselfish on that occasion. All France.
So it's really interesting about the French. So they've gone 100 miles an hour. Start to go and get the goal. They've got the goal. Have they stopped? No, they haven't stopped. They've kept on going at this pace just now. And we did think before the start of this game, is it going to be a little bit of a cruise one? You know, are they going to really go for it? The reserve side of the Norwegians is out, or the second string side of the Norwegians is out. Is it going to be a kind of a bit of a letdown of a game? Actually, it's not in any manner of means being that. The French have been up for it. But to be fair for the Norwegians, when they broke, they look okay. They've a couple of wee half chances to get into dangerous positions. But, you know, as a team, they look a long way behind France.
Asgard caught in possession. Mbappe plays in Elise. Elise shot blocked. Left-footed. Tried to angle it. Took a deflection. Picked up by Selvik, the goalkeeper.
Right, I'll just get my jaw back up the floor, off the floor there, to understand why Kylian Mbappe didn't shoot. When he was 20 yards out, maybe he just couldn't get it out of his feet quickly enough. But they're finding themselves in brilliant positions at French front four. A little bit lax, you know, maybe that team hasn't played together, the defence hasn't played together. They're really quite wide. It's a back four. There are gaps they can run into. But the intelligence and the willingness of the running from Mbappe has been superb so far.
This is Torsved picking the ball up for Norway. Christian Torsved, who is the son of Eric, the former Tottenham goalkeeper. 97 caps he made for Norway. This is his 39th for the midfielder, who was a substitute in the last 17 minutes against Iraq, so it's his first start. Norway trail by a 0-0. They've been awarded a free kick. Patrick Berg, who was booked, first time that either of these two sides have actually picked up a booking so far in the group stages. He's going to take the free kick on this near side, the right. A few yards in from the right touchline, in the bright sunshine, playing from left to right in Norway, but they're a goal down. Berg, right-footed, arrows its way in. Up at Meccano, heads it out. Picked up over on the far side. An opportunity here for Schelderup to try and deliver the cross from the left. Back behind him. In comes it. This is Strand Larsen. That should have been 1-1.
It should have been. Absolutely.
He's brought it down, lovely touch, and then he's blazed it from 6 yards.
But I'm like you, the first time I did, I looked down at the assistant referee. How can you get that much time in the box? They got plenty of it, and it definitely wasn't offside. His first touch was phenomenal. His second touch was awful. He ballooned it over the bar. Great chance, and another warning. And again, Mignon this time gets caught. French are living a bit dangerously at the back there.
He accepts he is going to be the understudy to Erling Haaland, and even Alexander Sorloth as well, who used to play at Crystal Palace, who's been in good form for Atletico Madrid. 6 goals in his 28 appearances, but really there, the Crystal Palace striker, who's up against his clubmate, of course, in Maxence Lacroix, who's been brought into the French side as one of 4 changes. Here is Lacroix giving the ball towards Kone, as the Norwegian supporters are doing the Viking row behind that goal and making lots of noise, and now they all stand up in unison. Splendid sight, all in red, as Elise, Koundé, Mbappe's midway through and out towards Dembele, the goal scorer. In the other game in Group I, as Elise at a walking pace towards Mbappe, just waiting, because the French are trying to almost lure the Norwegians into a false sense of security, and then they've got the ability to go bang and create another chance. But a sending off, Senegal-Iraq. Sahel.
Yeah, it's gone the way of Iraq. Terrible opening 13 minutes. They're trailing Senegal by 1-0, and now they've had Rebin Sulaka sent off for a straight red. He was holding back Sadio Mane. He headed the ball away, fell into the chest of Mane. Mane wriggled away from him. He tugged him back. Mane would have been one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Referee today's Anthony Taylor gave a yellow card. VAR told him to check it on the monitor. He changed his mind, gave him a straight red. So Senegal 1, 10-man Iraq 0.
So the central defender, who was a substitute when we watched them against France and Philadelphia earlier in the week, he's off. Senegal are 1-0 up in Toronto, and that's not good news as far as Scotland are concerned for what is day 16 of the World Cup, the penultimate day of the group stages. And France here lead by a 1-0. Here's Pat Nevin.
Yeah, actually, this game looks as if it could be so incredibly one-sided after about 10, 11, 12 minutes. 1-0 up, obviously, to the French, but they were creating chances almost at will. And the front four, as I say, they just look superlative, much, much quicker than the Norwegian defenders. However, give them the due. The Norwegians have come back into it. And also, they've got that danger of the height thing. Even though it's not all their big men, they're still good in that area.
Doué's forward ball. This is Mbappe. Mbappe shoots! He went for the near post. He gets it out underneath his feet ever so quickly, right-footed. Selvik made a save with his legs.
I wonder what the record is for shots on target for one team at a World Cup, because every time they go forward now, and that's a good thing about the French in this first half, a lot of teams break and it doesn't always end up with a shot towards the target or on target. When the French break here, they break so quickly but they break so intelligently that almost always ends up with a shot on target towards the keeper that the keeper has to do something about.
Here is Doué. Tchouaméni in the midfield. One of 4 changes made by the French side that beat Iraq. Of course, Guy Stéphane is in charge as Didier Deschamps will return tomorrow. Dembélé dancing around the ball on the right-hand side. Koundé is in forward position, right-hand side of the area. This is Lacroix, who in my notes I had him down as the 4th choice centre-back with Konaté ahead of him, but he's actually been picked ahead of Konaté, who of course will be playing for Real Madrid next season. This is Tchouaméni to Lacroix, closed down very quickly by Bob, manages to get away with it. This is Koné, diagonal ball along the ground. Dembélé fires it in early, blocked by Bjorkan, the left back, picked up by Elise, and France 18 minutes played. We've seen them in the 2 opening games as the ball is played in towards Mbappe, making the run for Elise, headed away by Falconer, the central defender. But they've looked extremely good so far in these opening 18 minutes, Pat.
Yeah, in comparison to the sluggishness, and it was sluggishness in the first 2 games. Yeah, it was hot, and yeah, they were just finding their feet in the competition. But it's unimaginably different the way they've started this game. Here's the question: can the French put 2 halves together in the same game? And if they can do that, I'm not convinced anyone will live with them.
I can envisage Lady Kelly scribbling notes, thinking that's a question to ask Jules. As at half-time, as Norway are attacking, Bjorkan bursting forward from his left-back role. This is Asgard who's going to shoot, strikes the knees of Koné. Might have struck him a little bit higher up, actually, judging by his reaction. As Norway then caught in possession by Doué. Ahead of him is Elise. Dembélé runs forward. Mbappe, if he can look up, will have Dembélé. It could be a carbon copy. As the ball goes out wide, here is Dembélé. He's held up now by Bjorkan. Dembélé though cuts inside. Brilliant goal! Dembélé in a double. And France increase their lead. Mbappe with 2 assists. Dembélé with 2 fine finishes. And France advancing as group winners in style, 2-0.
I mean, yes, you can say the Norwegians are too open. They're far too open. If you're a white player, any white player, you love it when you get 1-on-1s. But getting 1-on-1s when there's nobody else near and a defender who is not the first choice, and you're a world-class player, it seems unfair. But you still need to do it, and that is a brilliant finish. There was so much to do. And in the moment here, can we say well done to the referee? They allowed the play to go on. Dembélé got the ball after Mbappe was held back. It was an absolute stick-on yellow card. They should have given it, except they allowed the play to go on. And when it went on, left foot, inside, curled round the goalkeeper. It didn't go into the corner, right in the corner. But it went near enough. What a goal.
Came into a central area. Bit of curl on that left-footed effort as well. And Dembélé with 2 goals. And France are leading Norway by 2-0. Here is Asgard. Asgard in the penalty area scores! What a game this is turning out to be. Matter of seconds. The Rangers midfielder reduces the arrears. And it is France 2, Norway 1. on his first appearance at a World Cup final, Taylor Asgard, the Liverpool-born Norwegian international, finds the back of the net, 2-1.
What a gorgeous dummy he does, just outside the 18-yard line. And he's just dummied, and it's a classic one. The defender's coming out to him there. He's got to buy a ticket to get back in. He's only sent about 4 yards the wrong way. Gave goalkeeper Mignon the eyes as well, and he's gone 4 yards the other way. It's one of those goals you dream of scoring, and he's only scored at a World Cup. He's only scored it against the French. And do you know that? That's not the first chance they've had. Second or third chance. Do you know what? This is some game already, and it could be Brown if they just slug it out like this for the rest of the day.
For the BBC Sport website, we've been, we had to all sort of like contribute, which I know you did, Pat, for our thoughts on best stadiums that we visited. There's going to be one that's going to be appearing in the next day or two at the end of the group stages from all the contributions around the United States, Mexico and Canada, as the corner comes in for France from Elise, and then it's headed behind by Auschness for a corner to France about the best game that we've seen. Now at the minute, I've opted for Ecuador-Germany yesterday. However, this keeps on going for the next...
Well, we've not got to the end of the first quarter.
I was refusing to say that.
Are you bristling? I thought you might. And you've got 3 goals. You could have had 5. You could have had 6 already. And it's 2 teams that are just going at each other. Now, the French are the better at doing it, it would appear. But this can go anywhere.
Dembele with a corner for France near side. Mbappe plays it back. Elise on the volley, blocked. Comes out towards Kone. This is Doué who shoots. That goes up in the air. Comes towards Dembele. The little touch back towards Theo Hernandez midway through the Norway half. 6 yards in. This now is Tchouameni. And then Upamecano calms it down. Koundé strokes it out towards Elise. Elise far side to right. France playing in all mint green from right to left. Out towards the corner flag. There's some welcome breeze. Breeze sweeps into our commentary position. And Mbappe can't get a shot away. A little touch towards Elise. Tchouameni, they're moving the ball very, very quickly. Theo Hernandez with a rising left-footed effort over the top of the crossbar, goal kick. Well, the break should be booed for the hydration break, only because it means that the action is stopping, because that has been thoroughly enjoyable.
Well, the worst thing about it is, a lot of times with football games, it's about momentum. And you can hear what the fans think of that. They're gutted about it, because you could start after this, and it might go really quiet, it might go dull, it might be a little bit more staccato. The flow was absolutely brilliant there, and that is the worst thing you could have done to stop the game there.
We'll get the thoughts of Jules in a moment, but first, Senegal-Iraq, Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, we're on a hydration break here as well, Ian. Senegal 1, Iraq 0. The goal coming after 4 minutes from a corner, floated into the penalty box. And it was Abdoulaye Seck with the header, which put Senegal into the lead. And then 9 minutes later, Iraq have gone down to 10 men. Ruben Sulako, he's tugging back Sadio Mane when he was wriggling away from the Iraq centre-half. He was heading towards goal. Anthony Taylor initially gave him a yellow card. He was told to go to the monitor, changed his mind, gave him a straight red. Senegal on top. They're leading Iraq by 1-0.
ESPN's Julien Laurent is to my right. I've seen you for 3 successive games now in the group stages watching France, and I've seen you display all sorts of emotions. Yeah. So how are you feeling at this stage?
I think it's a much better first half and start of the game, like Pat said earlier. But the issue will be, again, that balance between how great you can be with the ball going forward, which they clearly are. I mean, they could have scored 4 or 5 already in these first 23 minutes. But then how much defensively you need that front four to help you. You need to be a bit more focused, because Deschamps will be fuming at this goal they conceded. Because they're not even in a position after after the game was restarted. They're all over the place. They're not focused. And I know we often say, especially to younger players, whatever level, you are your most vulnerable straight after you scored, because you're already thinking about the goal and the celebration, and they should have known better. But at least the goal scorer has a mem who is French, so I kind of feel like it's not really a goal we conceded.
But before that, though, Norway also had the chance for Strand Larsen, who should have scored.
He should have scored, and again, I think defensively, maybe the lack of composure that they have defensively and the structure defensively that they have is something they will have to work on, because again, against the better team, even against the Norway A team, I think they would have struggled more. So it's to find again that balance between being great going forward, but also, especially for the two wide players in Dembele and Doué, not forget to defend too.
And as for Dembele, all of a sudden he'll be on the coattails of Mbappe, Vinny Jr., Haaland and Messi, the way he's going.
Yeah, Dembele, Ballon d'Or, Dembele really back with what he does best. How many times have we seen him score that goal, the second one with his left foot? The goal against Liverpool, if you remember, in the Champions League, was exactly like that. And then he can score with his right, like with his foot, because as we should remind everybody, he doesn't know himself what foot is his strongest.
Thank you, Jules. Pat?
That's just unfair. If you don't know which foot is your strongest, that's just really unfair. That's cheating. No, but to be honest, the first couple of games he was actually quite quiet, wasn't he? But he's back to gliding again, and when he gets there, you know, he's absolutely devastating these shots.
Also, these 2 goals take him into to double figures now as well. So he's scored 10 goals for his country, and this is 62nd appearance. It's 2-1 to France. Elise with a back pass towards Mike Maignan. Patches of blue sky here in Boston. Theo Hernandez is fouled by Torshved, and that'll be a free kick to France as they play from right to left.
He's done really, really well there, the way that Oscar Bob has closed him down. I mean, we know if you watched a lot of English football at all, you know the quality of player that Oscar Bob is. He's not had one opportunity to run at Theo Hernandez yet, but you do get a feeling that would be a decent battle if he gets the ball at his feet and runs at Hernandez. But as I speak, Hernandez has run off him into a dangerous area. Oscar Bob's not spotted it.
Asgard, incidentally, has now scored 6 goals in 9 games, but that's a little bit misleading, bearing in mind that he did score 4 in 1 game against Moldova, and indeed his previous 5 goals were all against Moldova. So he filled his boots on 1 occasion for the Rangers midfielder, but he took it very, very well as the Mike Maignan in yellow chips the ball out from his penalty area towards Dembele. The interception, though, by Bjorkan, the left back, and this is now picked up by Schelder up for Norway, out towards Bjorkan, far side the left, playing in red. Now it's with Patrick Berg, infield to Asgard, central position. It's away from Elise. His confidence is oozing after his goal. He sent Elise one way, and he went the other.
He's having a blinder.
Oh, nicely worked down the left-hand side, the back pass. This is Schelder up, low ball in, Strand Larsen battling for it, bit of a scramble, and then Maignan dives on it inside his 6-yard area. They have, despite making the 10 changes, they have caused France a couple of problems.
You always have to remember, you make those 10 changes, every one of those 10 players that come in is saying to himself, this is my chance. I'm not going to cruise here. I'm going to show the manager I should be in the starting lineup. So they've got so much to play for. There is a slight lack of pressure in that they're through anyway, so you can go and enjoy it, and that's exactly what the vast majority of these Norwegian players are. Well, the forwards anyway are enjoying it. By the way, Asgard, he is sending dummies like you wouldn't believe today. It's actually hilarious. And by the way, in the background, I think they were enjoying it, those Norwegian fans, weren't they? They love that rowing, don't they?
You're so good, you know, because you knew that I was filming it and you kept on talking until I'd stopped filming.
I haven't said that, you know, Asgard, he's probably made them do that rowing, and I think the rowing is that we're with you, we're backing you, that sort of thing. But honestly, we watched Asgard quite a lot up in Scotland, obviously the Rangers this year, and they've been good and bad moments. He's having the best game I've ever seen him have by a distance so far.
The Viking helmets, as they're known, rocking back and forth and making the noise. What was it in Euro 2016, which of course was held in France? We had the Icelandic clap,
thunderclap,
the thunderclap, yeah. And now we've got the Viking row, which not just happened behind the goal. There was also a section of red in the middle tier, a little bit away towards our left-hand side as well. 2-1.
I'm just waiting for you to bring on the Scotland A-Fon farewell. Because that's what we feel just now.
Yep, not going too well at all for the Scotland, as Østegård at the back, shaven-headed. central defender. Scored actually as a substitute. His first goal in 4 years against Iraq. As this is Torsved, looks for Strand Larsen. Strand Larsen in the penalty area was trying to make a run the other side of Upamecano. Koundé, though, the right back, had just squeezed in that gap and made the clearance, and here is Koundé, who this is his 13th successive start in a major tournament.
So very impressive, Upamecano's pace there to get in front of Strand Larsen. To me, it looked like better than 50-50 for Strand Larsen, but Upamecano came from nowhere and just cruised away with the ball.
Elise prods the ball back. Little flick with the outside of the right boot for Kone. Chouameni switches it to Teo Hernandez, who continues to join the attack. Doué now does the little step over, pulls it back. This is Kone. Kone goes short and square. Chouameni towards Dembele, who's on a hat-trick. Dembele looks for the shooting opportunity, comes inside and scores! Dembele with the third hat-trick at this World Cup. His first in a major tournament. He has been in sensational form. And once again he finds that left-hand corner. 3 goals for Dembele. He moves alongside Mbappe, Vinny Jr. and Haaland on 4 goals in the race for the Golden Boot. He's had some half an hour here. 3-1.
Honestly, that's incredible. I think I'm Punxsutawney Phil just now, because this is Groundhog Day. Every time he gets the ball on the right-hand side, he does the same thing. His teammates know what he's going to do. Everybody in the stadium knows what he's going to do. The defenders know what he's going to do. He still does it. Goes inside and curls into the far corner. Exactly what Jules was saying beforehand. You know he's going to do it, but you can't do anything about it. 3 goals, fantastic. Wow, you don't get many hat-tricks that quickly.
Jules, it doesn't feel that long ago that we were saying Dembele, in terms of being at a major tournament, lacking confidence, looking for that goal. He's now scored 4.
Incredible, and we said what's the best position? Is he more like he plays at PSG as a false 9? Is he behind Mbappe as a striker? Is he on the right? Is he on the left? And we did worry for him as well. We did debate on our show back home in France. We talked a lot about his best positioning and how to get the best out of him. And then that one click, it felt like that goal against Iraq. Then the assist for Mbappe against Iraq, and that was it. And this hat-trick, and I know it's a funny story, but that interview that he had when he was at Rennes, when he was asked, you took your penalty with your right foot, but which one is your strongest foot? And I promise you, he said, I'm not sure. And then he goes, well, I like shooting with my left, but I like taking penalties with the right because I shoot stronger with the right. And it was just like, okay, that's a bit special.
Yeah, Messi and Jonathan David were the 2 other players who'd scored a hat-trick so far at this World Cup. That's the 3rd one, and France are leading by 3 goals to 1. 2 more goals. They'll be the top scorers in the tournament as Strand Larsen tries to lay the ball off to Torsved, but Lacroix throws his body there first and breaks it up, and now Elise picks it up, but they're hungry for goals now, France. You can see them, they're oozing with confidence. This is Elise driving at the heart of the Norway defence, out towards Dembele. Dembele waits, cuts inside, pulls it back. Chouameni skies it right-footed inside the deep.
So what did you think he was going to do there when he got the ball on the right-hand side?
Like you.
Oh, yeah, every time he gets it on the right-hand side, he cuts in and you think, it could go in now. And if you're marking him, or trying to mark him, I think is a better description of it, like Bjorkan, it's so tough. Because if you over-push him inside, he'll just dummy back and go outside and go down the line, which is, you hate allowing a winger to get to the line. And it's the last thing you want to do. Well, I say it's the last thing you want to do. Unless you're playing against Dembele today, maybe the last thing you want to do is show him inside. Because he's already scored the 3 goals, he's creating chances all over the place.
Most goals in a match in World Cup history, Oleg Salenko with 5, Russia against Cameroon in 1994. The way that Dembele is looking a threat every time he comes forward, he could easily add 2 more to his tally. And what he's doing at the minute is staying so far wide right that Bjorkan has got to try and come inside alongside Østegård, because the 2 central defenders are struggling to deal with Mbappe.
Exactly, so I think you've nailed it there. So what do? If you know your fullback's getting absolutely destroyed by the winger, you get back and help him. If you're a midfielder or the wing, I've got to help my mate out here. I've got to get beside him. Ain't happening at all, because the Norwegians just keep on breaking like they have just now. I keep on underlining it. If you are a wide player or an attacker and you're given one-on-ones in the modern day and you know you've got the pace and the skills to beat the fullback, it's almost too easy.
That's Pat Nevin, who's with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. And France looking impressive as they lead Norway, who, let's not forget, have made 10 changes. However, on this form, most defences would struggle to deal with Dembele, who's backed a hat-trick.
Do you think Muller-Wolf, who would have been playing left-back, sitting there going, I think I'll not bother coming on at half-time here?
Yeah, he'll be pleased that Ståle Solbakken has made the 10 changes to rest them ahead of what will be a last 32 date with the Ivory Coast in Dallas on Tuesday. Elise back on defensive duties deep inside his own half. Norway will get a throw 6 yards up from the corner flag, far side the left. They take that one quickly.
I mean, there has been real bravery. We were talking just now, 3-1 down, a whole heartful of chances as well on top of that for the French. And have a look at the Norwegians. Now, is it brave or is it foolhardy? I don't know at the moment, but they're attacking. They're going for it again. They're still trying to get back into this game and try and get something out of it.
Said earlier that the sunshine is from behind us and it's coming and down, beating on the backs of our heads, our necks. Also, it's coming onto the monitor in front of us that gives us the little statistics, and it's just said pausing due to high temperatures. So as a crossfield ball towards Oscar Bob has gone out of play, sailed over his head of Oscar Bob, who his first start at a World Cup made last 17 minutes against Iraq and came on against Senegal for the last 6, formerly of Manchester City. Upper Meccano to bring the ball out from defence, and France are 3-1 up with 7 minutes to go to the break.
Do you know, I hate being like this, but Tchouaméni ran into space there, and it was so much. He had 30-40 yards either side of him. You can't let that happen at this level of football against good football. You just can't let it happen. Having said that, I'm happy it is, because it's leading to a great game.
Outrageous ball from Mbappe to find Doué. Doué tries to come on the inside of Aursnes as well as Bob. Aursnes then clears long to Strand Larsen. Comes off the head of the Norwegian striker, but he's got no support. He turns around, he's a little bit frustrated. You could tell that by his body language. There was nobody supporting him. It's almost as if they're playing 4-5-1 at the minute, Norway. This is Dembele. Dembele, right corner of the area. Tchouaméni. Kone. 30 yards out from goal. Doué left-hand side. Short forward ball. Challenge was a strong one from Henrik Falconer, the defender on Mbappe. Bob almost runs into trouble. Tries to wriggle away from Tchouaméni. Needs helping out. Falconer will clear. Up to Strand Larsen, but Upper Meccano gets himself in front of Strand Larsen. Couldn't keep the ball, but Norway saying there was a handball, and Michael Oliver will give it against Koundé. Will get a free kick just inside their own half. 5 minutes of normal time remaining. France are leading 3-1. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, Mbappe was looking for a penalty kick there, but well done, Michael Oliver. You spotted that a mile away. He backed in and threw himself towards the defender. There was contact, but 100% it was initiated by Mbappe, which reminds me of the penalty kick that Mbappe didn't get in the previous game, and the referee said he'd initiated the contact when he was basically wiped out in that game in New Jersey. But in this game's definitely not a penalty kick for Mbappe.
5 minutes to go to the break. France are leading by 3-1. If you missed it, incidentally, the second day of the third test in the cricket, England closed 215 runs behind, 223 for 2 in response to that New Zealand first innings total of 438. And the coverage of the third day at Trent Bridge will be on TMS tomorrow on Sports Extra. Currently on Sports Extra is Sri Lanka against Scotland's women in the T20 World Cup. This is the World Cup in the United States. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. We're in Boston, live in Boston, as we edge towards half-time. It is nearly 3:45 this Friday afternoon here in the United States as Doué, he wants to get involved in the action. He continues to run in field to the edge of the D, central area, looks for Elise. Bjorkan clears only as far as Upper Meccano. Every outfield player is in the Norwegian half as we look from our lofty position, as so many of the positions are at this World Cup. And it's great when the weather's like it is today. Less so when it was in Philadelphia when we had the storms and the rain. And indeed, when John Murray was here the other day for England-Ghana, they had the cagoules on, tarpaulin sheets to protect the equipment, as Bjorkan with interception at left back on the far side. And then back, Shelderup will be able to turn. And we have 3 minutes to go to the break. Pat.
It's quite interesting you're talking about this. We're very, very, very high up. There's not many positions you'll get. Oh, terrible.
Doué, keeper goes to his feet and has to get that right, because otherwise Doué went to the side of him, trying to step around the goalkeeper.
Well, that defending almost reminded me of Scotland against Brazil. That was awful. The amount of times pass backs to keepers, their keepers getting caught in the ball in this World Cup has happened is outrageous.
Shelderup goes to the other end and gets a corner kick. That was similar to the goal that was disallowed, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he should score it in the end. Well done, the keeper getting down close. Very, very quick, explaining why we are so high up here. And you think, well, wait a minute, you never get this in that many European stadiums, the press people this high up. But of course, it's built for American football. And it's all about the technical side, to seeing everything from above, the tactical side of it. So it makes perfect sense that they put all the press and journalists up high.
I have another theory to that. 2.5 minutes in.
Well, they don't like us very much, they just stick us at the back.
No, corner comes in on the far side, and the header at the far post. Ostergaard was stooping, trying to get on the end of it. France have cleared it away towards Elise. The break is on. Elise, he's got 3 players to aim for. It's a diagonal ball. It picks out Dembele. Dembele here again, unselfish rather than going for goal. Look for Doué. And by that point, there were retreating Norwegian defenders. Dembele sends over the cross, and that's over the head of Theo Hernandez, and it's going to go out for a throw.
Do you know, it's strange that Dembele, I mean, you've got to think he must go for it. He's got to go for it. He's scored a hat-trick, mate. You know, there is a great chance for you to go for it on your own. He doesn't. He tries to pick out either Mbappe or whoever's run. Theo Hernandez, I think, was up there as well. Do you know why he's done that? I think Mbappe said to him, you better start giving other people the ball here now and again, because you're giving us nothing. And Mbappe will not be happy that with all these chances in this first half, he's still not scored yet.
Yeah. Had they shown a really, really ruthless streak, and that sounds strange, bearing in mind that they've hit the crossbar, the keeper's made a couple of good saves, they've already scored 3 goals.
And there's been a 1-on-1.
But they could have really filled their boots.
Oh, it could be, honestly, as many as you like. But it's the naivety, I suppose, of the Norwegians that jumping out of you. Having said that, there's actually a couple of very good performances in that Norwegian team at the moment. But player for player, they're way behind, pace-wise.
Kone runs forward. Kone to the edge of the area. Kone inside. The return ball back to Kone. And the goalkeeper makes the save again, diving at the feet of Kone. The layoff by Mbappe, the way to the pass. They were almost in again. They're trying to play out from the back. They've been caught in possession. And then the referee, Michael Oliver, says there was a foul.
So I try to remember what this reminded me of here as a team, the way that the French are playing. It's a wee bit Harlem Globetrotters, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, just getting the ball, trying different things, flex strikes, brilliant 1-2s, great understanding of each other, much, much quicker than the sluggish players that are playing against them. They're so far ahead. Honestly, I don't really fully always understand XG, but it would probably be about 7 just at the moment.
I'm trying to see if it says anything on our fancy monitor. I, like you, don't tend to do XG either. We're aligned in many ways. I'm not too sure whether you'll think that's a good thing or a bad thing. Don't answer that. Here is Asgard, who had got it back to 2-1 within seconds earlier on in the half. 3-1 it is, though, to France. We're in stoppage time, and we've got 5 additional minutes to play here in Boston. 5 Live, BBC Sounds. Here's Pat.
Yeah, and again, it's incredible that the Norwegians are actually left 3 players up the field there. And the space and the gap that the French can run into is extraordinary again.
Doué forward, edge of the area, Elise. Elise shoots. Mbappe and Dembele were both to his right. It was a rising right-footed effort from a central position outside the area, just over the crossbar.
Well, you're talking about things we have in common. Maybe one of them is sometimes watch football and it's getting overburdened and drowning in statistics a lot of the time. However, I am incredibly interested to find how many shots there have been, A, on target, and B, generally by this French team, because they have had so many attempts on goal. It's extraordinary.
So they've had 14 shots of France, 8 have been on target, in comparison to Norway's 4 and 2. And yet, they've only had 17 touches in the opposition box.
And a lot of them been the outside, but they've nailed it, because if you're only getting a few touches in the box, that means the last pass is a good one. It's one that you can come on to and hit. People sometimes get a wee bit excited about touches in the box. Do you know there are touches in the box and touches in the box? See if you've got one you can run onto and smack. That's a good one to have.
Yeah. 3-1 to France. This is Berg at the back, again under pressure. I mean, I would imagine that France will make as many changes as they possibly can, the 5 to rest players.
But you can't make them too early, because if you end up going out of 10 men if you get somebody injured, so still difficult.
They've actually got 5 outfield players who haven't been utilised at all yet, but when we get into the knockout stages, the games are going to come thick and fast. This is Kone, who's actually done well. This is his second game in the World Cup. They've rotated that midfield 3, haven't they? Between Kone, Tchouaméni and Rabiot. Rabiot, who started the first 2 games. Kone started the last 2. Here is Tchouaméni, who's come back into the starting lineup. Dembele, right corner of the area. Tchouaméni on the overlap right-hand side. Looks to work over the cross. Gone out of play. It will be a goal kick. Last touch came off the Frenchman.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the other thing is also just the personal side of it. I mean, players giving a lot of their time away to come to a World Cup, and if you don't give them a sniff, even when there's a chance to bring them on, that's tough. So I just wonder if do you change the goalkeeper at half-time or at some point in the second half to give one of the other goalkeepers a little bit of a run out. This might be a temptation for Guy Stéphane.
Well, Mbappe played the full 90 against Senegal. He more or less, well, in fact he did, he played 91 minutes then against Iraq on Monday in that delayed game in Philadelphia. So you would think that he would get rested, if he wants to be rested, of course. Here is Elise, forward for France, just slows down. We're in stoppage time. But Cherki, who's made a couple of appearances. The ideal scenario for France, they're going through as group winners. They will remain on the East Coast. They have the luxury of then making the changes to rest players before they're back in action on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of working in their favour just now. And they've made it so. And they've made it so with every game, knowing that they had to turn on the style at various points. And I don't think you can argue against the fact that the speed, the understanding, working with each other just now. But just the pure raw talent that they have in that front 4. I mean, you couldn't ignore the fact that Mbappe's a very, very special player, but Elise can be the man. Mbappe, it's not just Mbappe, it's Dembele as well, it's Doué as well. To be honest, Barkley's not bad either.
Well, Cherki, I mean, the talent that they've got at their disposal. We're inside the last seconds of the minimum of 5 to be added on. Norway 1, France 3. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live. We are live in Boston. Incidentally, I mentioned the cricket. Wimbledon begins on Monday. We'll be on air weekdays at 1 o'clock, weekends at midday throughout the tournament, and there is a Wimbledon daily podcast as well that you'll be able to download throughout the coverage at SW19. I don't know what the zip code is here in Foxborough in Boston, but N1 F3 is the reflection of the first 45 minutes.
I don't think it's even a fair reflection, because it should be much, much more than that. And the Norwegians can argue that they should have 2 or maybe even 3 goals themselves with the chances, but the French have been stunning to watch, a real joy to watch today. And if they keep up this going in the second half, there's no reason why it should not get another 3, 4, 5 goals. It's been great fun.
Well, Dembele with a 32-minute hat-trick. Asgard got on the score sheet for Norway as well to briefly make it 2-1. But France have been terrific to watch against a Norwegian side that had made 10 changes. So half-time here in Boston. It is Norway 1, France 3. And Kelly, you'll be pleased to know, I've turned Jules on.
Always.
Yeah. You've left that too open-ended. Listen, talking about asking questions and leaving them open-ended, the zip code for the Gillette Stadium, or Foxborough Stadium, is 02035. So I looked that up for you because there'll be people listening, having heard you ask the question, and want to know what the answer to it is. Look, just before we talk to Jules, I just want to come back, Deno and Pat, to the point that you guys were making about the numbers around this game, because as much as we don't want to reduce the beautiful game to just a series of figures, there is a sweet spot between art and science here. And France's 63% possession, 14 shots, 8 of them on target, but then an XG of less than 1. It's just at 0.9. What it tells us is that the chances haven't been clear-cut. They've just been really difficult goals for them to score, and that tells you about the quality of the goals that they've scored.
Also tells you about the quality of XG. What's that giving us?
But the XG says that if a certain number of players in a certain number of situations were in that position, would they be likely to score? And what it's saying there is absolutely not. What it's saying there is you have to beat Ousmane Dembele to get a hat-trick under those circumstances.
Yeah, and again, a number of statistics, I don't know how incredibly helpful it is in many ways, but I see your point. The fact that, yeah, they've scored some great goals and great possessions, but what it doesn't take into account a number of things is the quality of the players. Yeah, so yes, he has to be a very good quality player. Doesn't tell you about the quality of the defenders in front of you either.
Yes.
And they weren't brilliant. And I feel really sorry for Bjorkan playing at left back there, because, look, Dembele can do that to anybody, Mbappe could do that to anybody, but he's getting no help whatsoever, so the kind of stats aren't giving you that either. I'm just in a huff with stats, Kelly, because they told me Scotland were 86% chance of going through before the Brazil game.
I know, and now it's definitely less than 10 and probably shrinking by the minute as well. But we'll get to that a little bit later when we do the latest from Toronto, where Senegal are taking on Iraq. In the meantime, Julien Laurent, I know Pat was saying Ousmane Dembele can do that to anybody, and he has at club level, but 19 matches to score his first goal at a major international tournament. And then a really lovely hat-trick in this one against Norway.
Yeah, I mean, we could say, I guess, that it was long due in a way, because he's been so good with PSG. There was going to be a time where he could take that kind of form and put it into international level. Although, as we said, it's a different football, it's a different system, it's a different style, there's a lot of differences, obviously, for what he does with Paris and what he does with his national team, or what is asked of him to do and what is expected from him. However, when you're that good with your 2 feet, and there are not many players worldwide who are as ambidextrous.
Yes.
Then
well, I think that's hands, but we get your point.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, with his feet then. And Ryan Cherki is probably the other one who is as good with right or left foot like Ousmane. So when you have that, and I guess the difficulty, and I told earlier the funny story about him saying like he doesn't know even himself which one is the strongest foot. Is that if you're a defender,
ambipedal is the one you want. Ambipedal.
Ambipedal, that's it. Thank you very much, guys. Is that if you're a defender, you don't know if he's going to go right or left. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. You know, some wingers are more comfortable going on right on the outside or on the inside. With him, you just don't know, and we saw how precise he is with the 2 feet.
Yes, so lovely to watch France in that first half against, a much changed Norway side, but still seeing them at full flow and with that 3-1 advantage at half-time. We'll get a bit more on that if we've got time before the second half gets underway, and we're really looking forward to the second half in that game. Meanwhile, in the same group, it's a straightforward winner-takes-all game between Senegal and Iraq, and it's not quite done yet in terms of the first half, but it's been eventful, Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, it has, Kelly. The whistle has just blown for half-time, so it's Senegal 1, Iraq 0. Senegal, they're leading, but they've been frustrated by a resilient 10-man Iraq team. The goal coming from a corner with Sek powering home from 10 yards away, and then 9 minutes later, Iraq went down to 10 men when Sadio Mane was sneaking through on goal, and he was tugged back by Sulaka. The referee, Anthony Taylor, he initially showed the yellow card and then via VAR check upgraded it to red. So despite a man advantage, Senegal, they haven't taken control. However, as it stands, Kelly, they're in the top 8 finishers for a place in the knockout rounds, knocking Scotland currently out of that top 8. So half-time here, Senegal 1, Iraq 0.
Thank you, Sahel. In which case, let's check in on Scotland in the Women's T20 World Cup, where they're taking on Sri Lanka. Here's Fionn Wynne.
Yes, Scotland, have got a really good chance of causing an upset here as Sri Lanka are 81 for 4, chasing 152. They need a further 71 from 60 balls. And Scotland already eliminated, but chasing a famous win. Sri Lanka needing 71 from the last 10 overs.
Fionn, thank you very much for that. In Rugby League this evening, Castleford 10, York 6, Leeds Rhinos 10, Hull KR 2, commentary of which is on Sports Extra 3. We will look forward to Iran against Egypt, and we'll start bringing you commentary of the second half between Norway and France after the BBC News with Ryan Dobney.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the UK and the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Thanks very much, Kelly. Good evening. Temperature records for June have been broken for the third day in a row after another scorching hot day across the UK. The Met Office provisionally recorded 37.3 degrees Celsius in Suffolk. An amber warning for extreme heat remains in place for the east and southeast of England tomorrow, while Amy Tompkins is a GP in Greater Manchester.
Like so many others, our practice is converted residential rather than purpose-built, and general practice has limited resources to be able to cool the environment. We have one air conditioning unit in reception, so several of the doctors have been taking regular breaks to go and stand out there throughout their clinics.
More than 900 people are now known to have died following the 2 earthquakes which hit Venezuela earlier this week. The UK government says it sent an RAF plane carrying search and rescue teams to the country and will provide £2 million of emergency humanitarian funding. Carl Scow is from the World Food Programme.
The devastation is just massive. Many buildings flattened. The first 72 hours are absolutely critical. First and foremost, of course, for the search and rescue, but then also to pre-position food and other humanitarian supplies, which will need to come in the next few days. Our staff is up and running. They're sleeping in cars, but they are doing everything they can.
The former head of Ukraine's counter-terrorism service has been jailed for life. It's after being found guilty of spying for Russia. Dmitry Kozyura was convicted of passing secrets to Moscow, including the locations of military units. And staying with news elsewhere now, and Israeli and Lebanese negotiators have signed what the United States has said is a framework agreement for a peace deal between the two countries. The details have not yet been announced, but the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said his country's military would remain in southern Lebanon until the Iran-backed group Hezbollah is disarmed. The US Secretary of State is Marco Rubio.
Hopefully we'll have many more of these conversations and make real and tangible progress. So that the people of both of these countries can be hopeful about their future, a future of peace, a future of prosperity, a future of mutual coexistence in a way that's beneficial to the men and women and children, including those not yet born.
That's your 5 Live News. Now back to the World Cup action between Norway and France.
5 Live Sports.
After the final whistle has sounded,
I think it's safe to say there's only one place to start.
dive deeper into the World Cup on BBC Sounds.
I think it's the right decision.
It restores your faith in sport. Discover a range of podcasts featuring analysis, in-depth interviews and stories you may never have heard before.
We have a slight problem with our commentary position. And I said, we can't see half of the pitch.
From the Football Daily to the Wayne Rooney Show and Gamescom, the Steve Bratnell podcast.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sports.
At the FIFA World Cup 2026.
With Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
France lead Norway by 3-1 at half-time in Boston. A hat-trick from Ousmane Dembele. They're his first ever World Cup finals goals. We've got second-half commentary from Boston to come. Iraq currently trailing Senegal by a 0-0. Iraq down to 10 men in that game as well. We'll keep you updated with what happens in that one. The winner will move into that third place playoff table, and then we'll see whether or not they progress to the round of 32. There's also commentary of Uruguay against Spain from 1 o'clock, and then it's Iran against Egypt in Seattle from 4 o'clock. That match has been designated as a Pride match because it falls the weekend before Seattle's Pride Weekend, which is a celebration of the LGBTQ community in the city. However, it has caused controversy because homosexuality is illegal in both Iran and Egypt. The BBC's Los Angeles correspondent Shaima Khalil is in Seattle and will be at the game. Shaima, just give us a few more details on this match and a little bit of background as to why there is this tension.
Yeah, there's almost like two parallel stories happening here at the World Cup in Seattle. On the pitch, this is a crucial Group G match for both Egypt and Iran. Egypt are riding high on that momentum of their first ever World Cup win against New Zealand. They're hoping that they're going to have the same luck here in Seattle and top and take control of Group G. They either need a win or a draw to move to the next stage, which will be the first time. I'm actually looking at Egyptian fans and they're very red Egyptian jerseys and a lot of Iranian flags. The Iran team's presence has really been overshadowed by a lot of politics, travel restrictions, and them complaining about the treatment that they're getting. They're in because they need to win to move to the next stages. And they also want to prove that they haven't really been dampened. Their spirit hasn't been dampened by their travel restrictions. All of this is happening juxtaposed by the Pride Weekend. Today marks the beginning of Pride Weekend here in Seattle, and there is going to be a lot of celebration, a lot of marches, a lot of pride and drag watch parties across the city. And FIFA said that while it doesn't designate this as a Pride match, Pride flags will be allowed into the stadium, much to the discomfort of those two teams whose federations have complained to FIFA before. They wouldn't be drawn, both managers wouldn't be drawn on questions around Pride. They said we're focused on football, but it is a big cultural discomfort for them because in both countries, homosexuality, any Pride celebration is criminalized. And so it's almost like there are two worlds colliding in Seattle today. Egypt and Iran wanting to move to the next stage, it being a Pride match and also Pride being observed in Seattle where the game is happening.
FIFA have said that the FIFA World Cup 2026 is an inclusive event that welcomes people from all backgrounds. Fans of all sexual orientations and gender identities are welcome at matches and events. So that's what they've said. What have the local organisers said about all of this?
It's interesting because they said this has been designated and these plans have been in place long before the draw put Egypt and Iran against each other in Seattle. And when we spoke to them, they said, look, this hasn't really changed anything when we found out that Iran and Egypt are playing here, because this is about the city. This is about what we're celebrating. This is about the spirit of Seattle celebrating Pride. This happens every year. This is going to be a big global stage with them hosting the World Cup, hosting a World Cup game with Iran and Egypt, but it doesn't really change what they want to do for the city. I put it to one of the organizers, asked her what her message is to Egypt and Iran federations, and she said, look, you know, this might not be the way that you live in your country, but be curious about us, ask questions about us. Others have said, look, this isn't about Iran, it isn't about Egypt, it's about Seattle and what we want to celebrate, and we want to include everyone. And I think it's a really, really interesting juxtaposition that happens in this unique city, that two worlds come in in two different events, and it's about what the World Cup does in terms of a city bringing its own values with two teams bringing two different sets of values to the same place.
Shaima, thank you very much for that. Egypt against Iran kicks off at 4 o'clock in the morning. There will be commentary of that on 5 Live, and that will also include updates from Belgium against New Zealand. Ben Duckett scored a century as England finished 215 runs behind New Zealand at stumps on day 2 of the third test. Ireland caused a massive shock as they claimed their first ever international win over world champions India in today's opening T20 international in Belfast. In tennis, Serena Williams has been drawn against Australian Maya Joint in her return match at Wimbledon. Jack Draper will face the 6th seed Taylor Fritz, and Emma Raducanu is up against Croatia's Antonija Ruzic. And heavyweight world champion Alexander Usyk says he will vacate all his belts, but he is not retiring. Second half of the final Group I match is about to get underway. Senegal lead Iraq by a goal to nil. Iraq down to 10 men in that one. France lead Norway 3-1 in our commentary game. Ousmane Dembele scored a first half hat-trick. This is how it sounded if you were listening in France.
Avec Ousmane Dembélé dans la surface encore, qui va peut-être encore prendre sa chance. Et il est là, le triplé d'Ousmane Dembélé. Il compte sur ses doigts. Et 1, et 2, et 3-0 pour l'équipe de France. Et 1, et 2, et 3-0 pour Ousmane Dembélé, qui fait ce qu'il veut dans cette surface de réparation. C'est le patron de la surface de réparation norvégienne. 32 minutes de jeu. Et Ousmane Dembélé s'offre un triplé face à la Norvège. Le ballon d'or de l'équipe de France.
Not quite 3-0 because Norway actually do have a goal back. Telly Osgaard has scored for Norway, so it's 3-1 to France, but still incredibly impressive first half performance from Ousmane Dembele. If you're wondering, having scored a first half hat-trick, a 32-minute hat-trick, the record for the most goals by a singles player in a single World Cup match is 5. That was set by Russia's Oleg Salenko against Cameroon in 1994. Ousmane Dembele in fantastic form in the first half of that game. France are well set to finish top of that group. That's how they started, France and Norway. Remember that Senegal and Iraq, straightforward winner-takes-all game for them to finish in third place and have a chance of progressing to the round of 32. So we will keep you up to date with that one. They're about to get underway with a couple of changes to tell you about. Here's Pat Nevin. And first of all, Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Kelly. Yeah, Bjorkan, the left-back's gone off, as has Torsved. So Marcus Pedersen, who was actually a 13th minute substitute against Senegal and actually got the first goal against Senegal, he comes on into midfield, and Bjorkan is replaced by Morten Thorsby for what is his first appearance at these World Cups here in the United States, Canada and Mexico. So we're underway. Michael Oliver from England is our referee. France lead by 3-1. France are playing from left to right as we look in their all mint green against Norway, who are all in red with the replica Norwegian flag on the front of their jerseys with the blue and white cross. Maignan then in goal for France. Koundé, Upamecano, Lacroix and Teo Hernandez is the defence. Kone and Chouameni in the centre just sit there, and then you've got Dembele, who's got a hat-trick, Elise, Doué behind Mbappe. And as for Norway, Watford's goalkeeper Egil Selvik is in goal. It's a back four of Aursnes, Ostergaard, Falconer and Thorsby, Pedersen, Berg and Aysgaard, Schelderup, Strand Larsen and Oscar Bob. We're in the early stages of the second half, and here's Pat Nevin.
Yeah, one of the changes is probably the least expected change to the World Cup so far. Bjorkan, who was left back playing against Dembele, some might say just watching him, Dembele, has been taken off. And actually, I feel really sorry for Bjorkan there. He was getting no help whatsoever from anyone around him. The way the game was being played, he was allowed to get 1-on-1 against one of the best attacking players on the planet, and he feels as if he's now getting the blame for it, as if he's done something wrong. And that's grossly unfair on a fullback. His mates should have been helping, his manager should have been helping him, yet he's walked off 3 goals down. Yeah, he was well taken apart by the player, but that's grossly unfair and harsh.
Jules, who came up with some terrific stats during the first half, he's putting producer George to shame. He's just left me a message here. Of the 182 goals so far scored at this World Cup, Dembele's hat-trick goal, the third goal, was the first to see all 11 players involved in the move.
Now that's a good start. That's a start that's worthy, I think. If indeed it's correct.
Oh, hold
but
on.
I'm sure it is.
Hold on, I need to apologise on air to producer George, because as it turns out, Jules was just handing me his phone. It wasn't Jules' phone, it was producer George's phone. So, mea culpa, George, sorry.
I'm very impressed that George spotted that. You've watched all players, 11 players get the ball. It's really impressive.
Thorsby with a layoff to Aysgaard. I think I might have to buy him a pint or two afterwards to apologise. This is Bob just outside the tee. The little flick. Bob runs on the outside on the right-hand side. Little stumble inside the area, keeps his balance. Then he was fouled. Penalty. Norway trailing by 3-1. I've got a way back into the game due to the skillful footwork of Oscar Bob.
Didn't just love the fact that he didn't go down after the first one when he could have gone down. But then the second time he was tripped up. There was no way in the world the referee wasn't going to give that very easy one to get. To Hernandez, he was done all ends up, wasn't he? Completely. And the joy, obviously, for the Norwegians now is the penalty straight into that red sea of their own fans behind them. So what a great opportunity this is to bring this game back to 1 goal. It's not over yet.
Well, Strand Larsen of Crystal Palace has the ball tucked underneath his left arm at the moment. VAR's having a check. So at the moment, Michael Oliver will be waiting for Jared Gillett for his interpretation, just to make sure. And again, inside the stadium, we haven't seen any replays at all.
Yeah, and
but they've clearly given it the go-ahead.
Yeah, it's a penalty. They just check them. They always check them. It's one of those ones, if you showed it inside the stadium, everyone might start laughing and go, what are you checking that for? So here's a chance. Great chance for the Norwegians, and considering they've scored a lot of goals in this competition so far, haven't they?
Jorgen Strand Larsen places the ball down on the spot. Mike Maignan, all in yellow, with his arms aloft, tries to spread himself high and make himself as big as possible. Strand Larsen back to the edge of the area. Hands on hips, waits. Strand Larsen, the Crystal Palace striker, at his first appearance in a World Cup final, has the penalty saved. It was a tame effort, right-footed, gentle pace, comfortable save for Maignan, diving away to his left, and France still lead Norway by 3-1.
It's a real shame, because if you hit a ball soft to the other side, hoping you've sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, if he goes the right way, it does look really, really bad. So, no, it's a very poor penalty. There's no other way of pitching it than that. But again, the Norwegians have made themselves an opportunity. That's 3 or 4 very good clear-cut, certainly 3 clear-cut chances that they've got, including the penalty in this game so far.
Lionel Messi the other day, that was the first penalty miss at this tournament. Strand Larsen there will be very disappointed that he wasn't able to register a goal. He'll have dreamt of sort of an opportunity of that, as they're pressing high now inside the French penalty area. Leclerc is forced out wide. Did score 2 goals against Sweden in May. His first brace for his country in one of the warm-up games. But to be presented with an opportunity, here is Bob once again. Bob, right-hand side of the area. Bob comes on the inside. Edge of the box, it's laid off by Asgard. It's given back towards Asgard. Now, this is a chance for Schelder up to Strand Larsen. Couldn't quite control it, couldn't adjust his feet. And then Mbappe running back, and Theo Hernandez passes the ball forward. And the forward ball to Mbappe, and Mbappe is beaten to it, as Selvik was quickly off his goal line, all in blue, to gather it at the feet of the world superstar.
Well, here's the good news. Second half started brilliantly as well. The first half had a great start, real pace to it. Not exactly end-to-end, but this game, once again, the Norwegians haven't just gone into their shell. They're not going to be... They're going to be naive, deliberately so. They're going to say, right, what have we got to lose here? Worst case scenario, we end up second place. We might as well go all out, try and score some goals, and see what these players can do. And I mentioned the first half, I would like to see a 1-on-1 between Oscar Bob and Theo Hernandez. Well, there's been 2 so far. Theo Hernandez has been second best by a distance on both.
That's Pat Nevin on BBC Radio 5 Live, as France lead by 3-1 here in the sunshine in Boston, Massachusetts. The Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, to be precise, as Asgard into a central area, out towards Aursnes, the right back for Norway. Bob just in from the touchline. Asgard, Berg is available as well if he wants him, but they go back out towards Oscar Bob on the right. 7 minutes into the second half. Bob sees an area of space, darts into it. Asgard now takes over, passes the ball to Bob, but Bob was just going to come back short. And as the forward ball, all the weight of his body was on the right foot, and then as he had to move to the left, the ball went away from him and out for a goal
It was
kick.
a little bit of a shame. That I think it was very, very clever between Bob and Asgard there. They did all the right things. Just the movement at the last second was just wrong, as you correctly described there by Oscar Bob. Just on the wrong foot when it was played. But just again, it shows you they're going for it. But here's the other side of it, and we've seen this before. Kylian Mbappe's sitting up there thinking, I've got 50 yards to run into. All we have to do is play over the top. I'll get on it. No one will catch me.
Strand Larsen had to take that ball quite high on the chest as it was fired into him by Schelderup. Koundé holds off the attentions of the Benfica midfielder. Still looking for his first competitive goal for Norway. He's does well for Benfica. 10 goals that he scored in the 43 appearances as they finished third in the Portuguese league, as he's then fouled by Tchouaméni. No foul, says Michael Oliver. The hoots of derision by the Norwegian supporters behind that goal. And then Michael Oliver awards a corner kick to Norway as they trail 3-1 8 minutes into the second half. 5 Live.
It's funny, you sometimes watch the French players and they're all so comfortable on the ball. The ball's played back to Upamecano there. He could not get his feet controlled at all. He looked like a cat on a hot tin roof there. Couldn't get it. Ends up going for a corner kick. What a great start the Norwegians have made to the second half. I think it's been super in the second half so far.
Well, they've got a corner on this near side, the left. It's clipped in by Schelderup, and trying to get on the end of it was Ostergaard, his flick header, and there was nobody coming in behind at the far post. It's gone out for a goal kick. France still lead 3-1.
They're enjoying it, actually. How weird. And the chances that they've given up here, obviously, there have been a lot of them in that first half. But you can actually see these Norwegian players again. Let's have a go. Let's enjoy it. Let's try and attack. You know, it could end up ugly for them, but hey, it's not that ugly. It's going to put you out of the competition. So it's a very unusual, very open match in a World Cup.
Well, this currently is the heaviest defeat that they've actually appeared at a World Cup for Norway. Their previous heaviest loss was Italy in 1938 with a 3-1 down, but they do need to caveat with the fact that they have made the 10 changes. In fact, all 3 defeats at a World Cup prior to this were against Italy. 1-0 in 1938, 1994 and 1998. But they've never beaten a fellow European nation at a World Cup either, as Elise drives at the heart of the Norwegian defence, passes the ball out towards Doué. Interestingly, that France didn't make a change at the break. Here is Mbappe. Mbappe measures himself, and that was just wide. That looked close from our position, right-footed. He went for the top right-hand corner. It had Selvik diving away to his left. 3-1, they still lead.
Well, usually you can tell by the goalkeeper's reaction, and you're right, that looked very close indeed. And had it dipped him just below the bar rather than top of it, I don't think the goalkeeper was getting that there. Just not quite enough curl on it, right towards the top corner. And yes, having seen a second replay of that, keeper wasn't going to get a sniff of it, and it could be his last moments there. Keeper's gone down.
He's picked up an injury, hasn't he?
Yeah, it looked like his hand. He's taking his gloves off. I mean, he's really kind of launched himself to try and get the end of that. He's nowhere near it. I mean, about 3 feet away from it. He's never going to get near it. But he certainly got a little bit of an injury there. I wonder if Jules is a bit edgy. The start of this second half, that they haven't actually started particularly well, the French team.
Well, let's get an update from Sahel Sarr, who's standing by. Senegal, Iraq.
Yeah, we played 6 minutes of the second half here. Senegal 1, 10-man, Iraq 0. Much better from Senegal in this second half. They're moving the ball quicker up the pitch, and Sadio Mane just had a half chance from the edge of the penalty area, slashed his effort wide. Senegal 1, 10-man, Iraq 0.
I notice as well that the stretcher is now being carried forward by the stretcher bearers in front of the 2 dugouts. Norway to the left, France to the right, as we sit high at this stand here in Boston and look down. And
he was taking his...
I wouldn't think they'd want to risk the first choice goalkeeper, bearing in mind he's made the 10 changes.
But he got very quickly, though. He jumped to his feet there very, very smartly. So I'm not sure about that. Very odd, very, very odd the way he went down. You know, because he just dived at a perfectly normal angle, and then he went straight down and looked really bad, and then jumps up as if I'm fine there after some treatment. And of course with the goalkeeper it doesn't matter. He's the one player who you can't put off for a minute.
Jules, when do you think we'll start to see some changes for France?
It's a good question. I was wondering the same. I mean, if you're Mbappe right now, you want to stay on the pitch because you know there's a goal coming, or potentially there should be a goal coming. But then you also know that the round of 32 is in 4 days, and it would be good for Dembele, who's played a lot, for Koundé, who's played a lot, those kind of players, Upamecano as well, maybe, to have a bit of a chance. So I think I could see a Konate coming on, I could see Gusto coming on quite soon. I wonder if a Cherki could come on for Elise, who's also played a lot. But for Mbappe, I doubt we'll see him taking off before the 85th minute or something.
Thank you, Jules. Julien Laurent of ESPN with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live as a blue and white helicopter comes down to land behind the stand on the far side and then just floats its way down to the end away towards our right-hand side. We've been playing for nearly an hour. BBC Radio 5 Live. Still to come on day 16, on the penultimate day of the group stages. Uruguay-Spain at 1 o'clock. Mike Maine and Charlie Adam. And then Egypt-Iran will be at 4 in the morning. Tomorrow, the third day of the third test, England-New Zealand from 11. And 5 Live Sport will also include the Austrian Grand Prix qualifying. And then on the final day of the group stage matches, of course, Panama-England in New Jersey. The build-up 8:30 for what is a 10 o'clock kickoff back home, live here on 5 Live. Alan Shearer will be joining John Murray in the commentary box, also available on BBC Sounds app, as Dembele, edge of the area, takes a deflection off the Norwegian defenders, out towards Doué, back towards Mbappe. Mbappe turns, Theo Hernandez from left back, infield to Doué, able to turn sharply, 25, 30 yards out from goal into a central area. 9 outfield players of Norway in red are behind the ball. Dembele, who's scored a hat-trick, to Tchouameni. Strand Larsen now comes to try and put some pressure in that midfield, but they're passing the ball so quickly. This has been their best performance so far. This is Doué, tripped by Ostergaard, free kick, direct free kick for France. Half an hour to go.
It's actually as if you look at the Norwegians, and the Norwegians have thought to themselves, we can take a little bit of the game, and they've had 15 minutes of very, very good possession. And then what happens? The French say, no, we're not having that. Get good possession, now they've got a chance to have a shot, possibly. A bit far out for you, Ian?
Well, it's, what, 26, 27 yards out from goal. Michael Oliver did signal it was a direct free kick. Elise stands over it, little bit of activity. Mbappe's just made the run into space. Only 2 in the wall as well for Norway. He's almost approaching this side on as Elise does so, clips it in left-footed, and then it was stabbed wide. It was Lacroix running around the back, and it will go out for a goal kick. There has been a goal in the other game in Group I. Senegal-Iraq, it's being played in Toronto. Sahel Sahi.
A second one for Senegal. Senegal 2, Iraq 0. Ismaila Sarr with his third World Cup goal. It was a forceful run by Kamara. Got to the dead ball line, pulled it back. Sarr got there first. Senegal 2, 10-man, Iraq 0.
Well, even the slenderest of leads for Senegal was not good news for Scotland. The fact that they're against 10 men would mean in that particular outcome it is another nail in the coffin, so to speak, as far as Scotland are concerned. Just over 61 minutes played.
It's been really difficult. The Scottish fans have been great, and it's such a big thing for the country, but actually I feel really bad trying to hold out any slender hopes and sort of making the pace and pain last longer.
Theo Hernandez links up with Mbappe. Mbappe bursts forward on the left-hand side. Clearance from Torsby. Will run out of play. Kept in play by the corner flag by Doué. And he tries to flick it over the head of Aunesh. As it ricochets away off the shins, and it'll go out for a throw to Norway deep inside their half. We've been playing for 62 minutes, and still there is no sign of any activity. Oh, now there is.
Definitely now.
Of activity down below. Just looking for France. Players who have not yet played so far in this tournament. Lucas Hernandez, Kante, Konate, Emery and Mateta. So does he bring players on for their first taste of the World Cup? Or does he sort of like say, I tell you what, we'll get Barcola to give him another opportunity. Played the last 10 against Senegal, started the first 83 against Iraq. Meanwhile, Oscar Bob picks it up, Norway in red, attacking. Bob gets a shot, lacks pace, easily saved by Maignan. Another goal in the Senegal-Iraq game, Sahel Sahi.
Senegal are enjoying themselves now, Ian. Senegal 3, Iraq 0. Papa Gueye just coming off the bench and firing in from 25 yards out, left-footed, superb finish. Senegal 3, 10-man Iraq 0.
France are on the attack, Mbappe in the penalty area, Mbappe still going, shot was blocked. Berg was back there to get the right-footed shot, bouncing away from goal. Mbappe picks it up, flicks it towards Elise, to his right corner of the area. Back they go into just an easy rhythm the way that they're playing, and then just coming out of defence was Leo Østegård to break it up. Strand Larsen will give chase, a downward header there by Lacroix from his clubmate, and France are back in possession as they lead by 3-1 with 64 minutes played, live here in Boston.
Isn't it good to, if you're a Frenchman watching on for this, the quality of player that you've actually got to bring on, and Barcola's pace every time I've seen him, it's absolutely stunning. So it's another problem that the Norwegians have got to come.
Yeah, Barcola and Cherki are the two players who are going to be coming on. Cherki, it'll be a third successive appearance off the bench. Dembele looking for a fourth goal, crosses, blocked by Asgard, and goes out behind for the corner kick on this near side, the right.
Ian, I think they're just trying to get certain players want goals, and certain players you want to get them goals, and I think they're doing their very, very best to get Mbappe a goal there. Every time they get down the line, particularly Dembele, after he's got his hat-trick, he's thinking, no, I've got to give my mate a goal. He helped set me up early on there, and that's what he's tried to do, even sometimes when they should have shot.
Well, it is Elise and the hat-trick hero Dembele who make way. Elise, who has been terrific, 12 goal involvements, even before today, in his previous 19 appearances, scoring 7 and 5 assists. So he comes off. It means that Ryan Cherki comes on of Manchester City. Came on against Senegal for the last 3 minutes, as in comes the corner kick, only towards the far post. Mbappe lifts it towards the far post, drops wide, and then he also had a little bit of a longer run out for Elise in that game against Iraq, 27 minutes played, so a similar time really that the changes were made, and then Barcola comes on and Dembele is the player who goes off. So Dembele, who now is alongside Mbappe, Vinicius Junior and Haaland, just a goal behind Lionel Messi in the race for the Golden Boot.
And Falconer, who's actually done a lot better in the second half. In that centre-back area, not really a lot happening in that sort of area, not unlike the first half, which was incredible. Every time that France attacked, there was a real problem back there with the two centre-backs, but Falconer's making his way off.
And coming on, Sondre Langas, who plays for Derby County. It's only his 4th appearance for the club. It means as well now that they have only left Jens Petter Hauge as the outfield player who is yet to get any game time, as the Derby County man comes on to partner Østegård at the heart of that defence. Just his 4th appearance for Norway for the 25-year-old, still in the sunshine here in Boston. We're approaching the midway point of the second half. You know what that's going to mean very, very soon. But France are leading by 3-1, but hasn't been anywhere near the same level of threat that has been generated in this second half.
Yeah, a variety of reasons for that. You know, one of the big things is flow, and it's a real problem with the World Cup, you know, keeping flow of games going when you've now got 3 breaks, 3 main set breaks, and then on top of that you're going to have a whole bunch of substitution breaks as well. So the first half had that gorgeous flow that you really enjoyed with lots and lots of chances. So you're trying to do that in the second half, it's really hard.
Here is Doué, ball chipped up towards him, comes off the top of his head and goes out for a throw. So Ståle Solbakken, you might remember him from his brief appearance at Wimbledon in 97-98, 1 goal in 8 appearances, and then he had that spell managing Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Championship in 2012-13 for 6 months. He's now got to deliver a final team talk in this break in the second half, where France are leading by 3 goals to 1. Understandably in the second half, bearing in mind the next game in New Jersey, likely to be against Sweden, Jules, that France have dropped off because they're doing what they set out to do, 3 wins from 3.
Yeah, completely, they know, and I think the rhythm of the game, the tempo has dropped as well a little bit now. I mean, I think this French team now with Cherki as a 10, has been a bit disappointing, not so much the first game because he only came on late for Senegal, but against Iraq he had a bit more time and Deschamps was not too happy with the performance and the body language and everything. So the next 20 odd minutes could be important for Cherki, for Mbappé, we said that of course, but then I think more importantly for Deschamps and Guy Stéphane to just manage a bit some of the minutes, some of those legs to be ready for Tuesday.
You would have thought those changes, if they'd have envisaged being in this position, would be pre-planned.
Yeah, completely, and I mean, we said earlier, didn't we, that we could see clearly Olise, who started all 3 games, to be subbed off. Same with Dembele, especially after the hat-trick, and that, you know, I think that was part of the plan. Remember, for the Senegal game, Deschamps made only 2 changes, which was quite surprising considering everybody has gone to 4 or 5. He made all 5 against Iraq, and I think there will be 5 again today.
You know, the only time that France in a World Cup have won all 3 group games, 1998.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good omen. They know I like when you talk to me like this, when you seduce me like this. It's very good. And also I want to say that Mike Maignan showed again why he's one of the best goalkeepers on penalties in the world. I know it was a poor penalty from Strand Larsen, but he's been outstanding really on penalties, and for a long time in Hugo Lloris we had a keeper that was not very good in that, and that's fine. He had other qualities. In Mike Maignan, if it comes to that at some point in this tournament, you know you can rely on him.
Thank you, Jules. If you were watching this game in America, there'd now be a TV break, an ad break. We're going to do a little bit of our own ad break here on 5 Live. The cricket will resume tomorrow. The TMS team on the 3rd day of the 3rd test at Trent Bridge. England 215 behind as they close today, 223 for 2, in response to that New Zealand tally of 438. And don't forget, Wimbledon begins on Monday. We'll be on air 1 o'clock on a weekday, and there's a new podcast as well. The Wimbledon Daily Podcast will be available. Pat Nevin.
Right, I don't know, I'm not often speechless, but honestly, the fan cam, the booming music, it is horrifically Americanized, this part of the game, and this part of the sport. It's actually, I just find it really disappointing. Sure, some people love it, I just don't.
Yeah, whilst Jules and Pat were talking, and during that break, the crowd were doing the Mexican wave. You had the pop music, but
I'm not against it. Like, have fun and all the rest, but the whole fan cam thing, the whole advertising thing.
Yeah, but it's not football, is it?
It was promised it wouldn't happen like this, and it has. So
Yeah.
anyway, moan over. Let's go on with the game.
You know, on that occasion, though, there was hardly any booze.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I think there's Boston has really bought into this World Cup. You know, so a lot of locals as well have come here as well. And of course, if you're local, if you're American, that is what you expect in the breaks. So I do think that's accepted.
Asgard with interception, play back underway. Bob could be played in here. Here is Bob inside the penalty area. Good save by Maignan and cleared away by Lacroix. That was a very strong right arm there by Maignan, because Oscar Bob running into the inside right channel of the penalty area, shot left-footed, and the goalkeeper made a very good save. 18 minutes remain of normal time. France still lead 3-1.
Do you know, Oscar Bob is giving Theo Hernandez an incredibly hard time today. Can ask the question earlier on, and I wondered how many times Bob would get one-on-ones. Well, he's had quite a few. He's won just about every one of them. He's just gone straight past them. He's also got the penalty kick against him as well on top of that, and that should have been a goal. Poor finish by Bob, but he done great to get in there.
Berg clips in the corner kick, and it comes off a near post flick, runs out towards Theo Hernandez and tries to release Mbappe, and Mbappe latches onto it far side the left. He's got Cherki with him. Doué's also making a good strong run as Mbappe carries the ball to the penalty area, looks towards Doué, cleared by Berg, who'd made that run back after taking the corner kick. And then Shelderup can try and bring it clear on this near side, but cut out by a combination of Tchouaméni and Koundé, and it goes out for a throw. It was interesting, if you remember the build-up to the game against Iraq in Philadelphia, and Jules was saying that the reason that Luca Dean of Aston Villa had been brought in is that left-back position was still very much up for grabs. Teo Hernandez has been given another opportunity today, but from what you're saying, are you favouring the former Everton and Villa man?
I think I am now, which is quite a thing, because I actually quite rated Teo Hernandez before that, but today he's found it very difficult. He hasn't really added anything going forward at all. And if it's a one-on-one and the wingers getting past you time and time again, and he's not going to want help either. He's been isolated a lot, but you know, he's top an international player for France. You think you could cope with that? Well, he hasn't actually today. So if you're looking for weaknesses in top teams, and everything's been relative, that may well be one of them that French have got.
Yellow card is going to be shown here to Tchouaméni. It's the first French player to be booked in this tournament so far. Patrick Berg was booked by Michael Oliver in the first half. Second yellow card is shown as the Norwegian supporters behind that goal are once again doing the Viking row.
Who's doing the timing of that? That's what I want to know. Because they seem to big, long wait between it, and then they speed it up. But it does look rather impressive there, because they're all doing it in time. They're all colored exactly the same way, totally in red, and nobody's watching the game. Everybody's watching them.
Far side. Auschness, the right back. Torsby now comes forward, and after doing it, then they all jump up and down and wave their red and white scarves. Some of them might toss a helmet into the air as well, the Norwegian flags, and now they break out into a chant of Norway.
I think the Bostonians actually love it, don't they? The locals are loving it. They have been royally entertained by a number of fans who came here.
Ball only partially cut out by Tchouaméni. And again, Maignan anticipation and awareness was good. Came sliding to the edge of his area. As there's another goal in the other game. Senegal-Iraq, Sahel Sahi.
A fourth for Senegal. They're leading Iraq by 4-0, and a second for Papa Gueye, almost identical to his first here, but this time inside the penalty area, left-footed. He slashed it past the Iraq goalkeeper. Super finish. Senegal 4, 10-man Iraq 0.
More goals the better as far as Senegal are concerned, if they are to be one of the 8 best third-place finishers. As the attendance here, it's a full house, 64,146 in the sunshine. They talk about the threat of a storm at the end of the game around 5 p.m. local time. Well, that blue sky continues to be present.
Oh, you're brave.
That's a good sign.
You're brave indeed, as in the fact that nobody here is covered. And we might be kept on for half an hour after the game, mate, so you still could... That bucket hat of yours, it's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting.
Don't worry, by the end I'll be saying that the storm clouds are moving in and we've got to go, regardless whether they are or not. Upamecano has been replaced by Konate. So Konate, who made 5 appearances at the last World Cup in 2022, but didn't play at all at Euro 2024 because Saliba and Upamecano played every game. Konate comes on then as Bob carries the attack forward, runs away from Berg, cleared by Koundé. And it means that France have made another change with 14 minutes remaining. So it is the makeshift now back four, well, central defence certainly for Konate and Lacroix. Koundé has been a regular throughout at right back, but he's been able now to rest Upamecano and Saliba, who was talk ahead of that opening game against Senegal, aggravating that back problem. That might still be niggling the Arsenal player as to the reason why he's been rested today with 13 minutes remaining, but still it gives Didier Deschamps, Guy Stéphane, who's taking charge of the French side today, the opportunity to rest players ahead of that game against likely to be Sweden in New Jersey on Tuesday in the last 32.
Again, it's been okay for the Norwegians in that left-hand side. They keep on, so in the French left-hand side and the right-hand side for the Norwegians. And once again, Bob got the ball and against Theo Hernandez, who now is no longer even engaging. All he's doing is sitting back and he's pushing him into an area where other players are.
This is Shelder up near side, the left, playing in red. Red shirts, red shorts, red socks, stopped by Koundé. Down towards the corner flag, clears. Controlled there by Østegård, the central defender. Asgard is able to turn. Shelderup will give it back to the Glasgow Rangers midfielder. Forward ball towards Bob. Laid off towards Strand Larsen. Nice little interchange back towards Bob. Plays it to Shelderup. Nicely worked on the left-hand side. Flick inside. Pulled back to Bob. He's going to leave it. Berg comes in. His first-time shot blocked. Torsby will keep it alive there for Norway. There's no real width on that right-hand side because Bob's causing problems when he goes into a central area. That was Auchness who had the cross blocked on the right, and Barcola can bring it clear for France.
You wonder if this is actually by design by the French, because they've fallen so far back, really far back for the vast majority of this second half. And there's about 40 or 50 yards between Kylian Mbappe and any other player for the vast majority of the time it's been played in this second period. It's very strange. It's as if they've said, right, OK, we'll win the game. Let's just kill it as much as we possibly can. But I tell you what, the way the Norwegians are playing here, they've created chances. They've got a penalty kick. They could have been level.
But the interesting thing is there the way you say that France have dropped off rather than being forced back.
Yeah, I think it is that. I actually do think it is that. I think there's more. They can lift it if they want to lift it, but you see the pace in the first half, everything was zipped about quickly. And in front of me, they've got the ball now. There's no great urgency to that, is there? They're holding it, they're killing a little bit of time, knowing that they're just over 10 minutes to go, and whatever the referee adds on, the game's won. And whatever happens, unless Kylian Mbappe scores, no one's going to remember what happens in the last 10 minutes. We shall see.
Just over 10 minutes remain of normal time. So they've got two more players who they could bring on. One more opportunity. But two more substitutions that would be permitted for Guy Stéphane taking charge in the sad circumstances surrounding Didier Deschamps, who flew immediately home after learning on Tuesday about the passing of his mum. Ball played forward, Barcola with his pace latches onto it, Barcola in towards the penalty area, saved by Selvik at the near post. Had his angles right, behind it goes free. Corner kick, France still lead 3-1, 5 live.
Do you know what, I would pay good money to watch a 100-yard sprint between Barcola and Kylian Mbappe. Now, it's unthinkable you think anyone's as quick as Mbappe, but really, he is scorchingly quick in that left wing. Barcola doesn't always do the right thing when he gets there, but speedy.
Hernandez with the cross. Lacroix was forward to try and get on the end of it. Comes out towards Koundé. Back now with Kone. Short ball to Cherki with his back to goal. Able to turn now as he runs into the right-hand side of the penalty area. Delightful step over. Chips the ball towards the far post. Auchness flicks it away for Norway. Hernandez collects it 30 yards out from goal. Doué central area. Forward. This now is Mbappe left-hand side. Infield towards Doué. Ball chipped by Mbappe out towards Cherki. Rides up, bounces off the chest, controls it off his left boot. Got some support from Koundé. They almost get in each other's way and actually allow Shelderup to bring it away from danger for Norway. I would actually pay good money too to see that. Remember old superstars back in the day?
Do you know what, I think we have to ask Jules at the end of the game about who he thinks the quickest is between the two of them, because it is ridiculous. As soon as the ball goes beyond the back line and either of those two are within 2 yards of a defender, you know they're going to win it. Pure pace. There's nothing you can do. There's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it.
I thought you were going to say we'll have to ask Jules whether they had the French equivalent of superstars. And, you know, was it Brian Jack, the judo, who was superb at it?
I'm so desperate to say I can't remember. I was too young, but sadly I can. Kevin Keegan, let's go there. Go.
I know I'm showing my age. Asgard forward, Norway are going to make a change. Chouameni though cuts it out and back it goes towards Maignan. So we are going to see two more changes. In fact, it means now that Ståle Solbakken has used every outfield player, because Jens Petter Hauge of Bodo Glimt is going to be coming on for the closing stages, and Nusa is going to come on as well after 2 starts to get a 3rd appearance as well. So he's certainly, I think, wary of the fact that they'll be going into the heat in Dallas for that game against Ivory Coast. He's utilised his squad to the outfield players at his full disposal. Bob is coming off, and Schelderup is going to be coming off as well. So Norway, as Noosa comes on for Schelderup, they're the changes being made. 3-1 it is still to France. 7 minutes of normal time remaining. Noosa gets a nice ovation from the Norwegian supporters who are congregated behind that goal away towards our left here under the blue skies. And we've got less than 7 minutes of normal time remaining.
Certainly worth underlining Oscar Bob going off there. I think it's a splendid game. Really, really good. Against a top quality team. I would say it was the pick of the Norwegian bunch, and the manager's learned a few things. And one of the things is Bob can definitely do him a job.
In comes the corner from Berg, headed out at the near post by Lacroix. Might just have picked up a little bit. No, it's fine, it's okay. As Teo Hernandez passes the ball back, and then Lacroix passes the ball across the ground to this near side for Koundé. 6 minutes of normal time remaining. Uruguay-Spain is at 1 o'clock in the morning. Mike Maine and Charlie Adam will stay on air until 10:30. Then it's Stephen Nolan next on 5 Live before the next football in Group H. Cape Verde against Saudi Arabia, Uruguay against Spain, as Tchouameni drops in between the 2 central defenders, and this is Konate. Pat Nevin.
So we had this conversation in the first half that in the first game we've been to see all 3 French games so far. First one, quite poor first half.
Yeah.
Brilliant second half. Second one, again, quite poor first half. Absolutely superb second half. This time, superb first half. Average second half. Now, I don't know if it's by design or not, or have they got an entire 90 minutes in them. And this one, I think it is. They've taken a little bit of a rest mostly in the second half, but it kind of is odd to see that it does seem to happen in half, or it has happened in half so far for them.
I haven't necessarily, like you, probably seen every game because sometimes of the travel throughout the United States. But of the games that I have watched, and I've watched a lot of football, and like you, well, we've done the France 3 games together, they still seem to be the team for me.
I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, it's not an absolute stick-on, but having actually watched Brazil play a couple of times as well, they're very, very good, but I think the French have got the edge over them. But this is early in a tournament, and you know what it's like. Some teams build into tournaments.
All over in the cricket, Sri Lanka, Scotland, Fionn Wynne.
Yeah, heartbreak for Scotland. They were really in contention, but Sri Lanka, needing just 7 off the final over, got over the line with a ball to spare. So Scotland were already eliminated, but Sri Lanka keep their hopes alive. They need to hope that West Indies lose their final game on Saturday. So agonising defeat for Scotland. Sri Lanka winning by 3 wickets with a ball to spare.
Thank you, Fionn. That's in the Women's T20 World Cup.
Did you deliberately do that? As a Scotsman, heartbreak again, getting beat out.
They weren't my words. I was thinking, do I dare go there? And then I decided, no. 2 changes are going to be made, and Mbappe is coming off after 86 minutes.
What does Jules know? What does he know? He said 85. Honestly, actually, he might have actually said at least 85, so he's probably spot on.
Gusto has come on to replace Koundé, and Mateta of Crystal Palace comes on. So we are still got 2 players, Lucas Hernandez and N'Golo Kante, 3 players in fact. Warren Zaire-Emery also has yet to appear in this World Cup so far. So 3 outfield players as France just sort of like juggle their pack. But Gusto, who came on late on against Koundé against Iraq at the weekend. A late goal, incidentally, in Toronto. Sahel side.
Yeah, 5th for Senegal, Ian. Senegal 5, Iraq 0. Ilian Ndiaye of Everton coming off the bench and slamming home a right-footed shot. Another really good effort and goal from Senegal. Senegal 5, 10-man Iraq 0.
And Jean-Philippe Mateta of Crystal Palace, transformed under Oliver Glasner. Before Glasner arrived at Selhurst Park, 11 goals in 80 appearances. under the Austrian, 39 goals in 82 appearances, and he comes on for just his 5th appearance for France here in Boston.
I mean, the joy of having him in the French side is, I'm not saying they're all the same, but there's a similarity with a lot of the players that play middle to front for the French team. The similarity is they're all brilliant and all fantastic technical players, but not big physical players as well. Mateta's got that physicality, so you might need that at some point in this competition. Mateta might be needed, so getting him game time is important.
And we've got 3 Crystal Palace players on the field here in Boston at this World Cup. Lacroix, Mateta and Strand Larsen, as France are leading by 3 goals to 1. The game is in many ways just petering out now here in the sunshine. Still no sign of those storm clouds. And Chouameni spreads play out to this near side for Doué. But it's understandable really for France to have dropped off, to conserve energy ahead of that game in the last 32 in New Jersey.
Yeah, and that's tournament football. No, tournament football has to be like that anyway, but in this longest of ever World Cups and longest just about ever tournament for international teams, making sure that you don't overwork, making sure you don't lose too much out on the pitch, particularly in these very warm conditions. Now, it has been warm today. This is massively, massively important, and it shows you good game awareness from the French.
I know it was like yesterday when they were saying, oh, most goals ever in a World Cup. Quelle surprise. You're playing the most games in a World Cup. That's natural.
Exactly.
The French supporters supposedly then were just mimicking their Norwegian counterparts with the... they were doing their equivalent. It was the French row.
But they gave up after just a couple of efforts.
Yeah.
They've said nothing.
They've just got to spark the Norwegians, I think, possibly to do exactly the same. Last 30 seconds remaining. Senegal, who are going to finish on 3 points with +2. That will do their goal difference the world of good. Norway going through as runners-up, so they'll have a trip to Dallas next Tuesday against the Ivory Coast. But France, 3 from 3, as we mentioned to Jules. They've only done it once before in 1998, when they won the World Cup on home soil. Ominous for the rest. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, in these 5 minutes, they could jog through them if they wanted. But it tells you a number of things about the French. A, we've seen the brilliance. B, 1 or 2 worrying moments, and certainly defensive frailties in the second half. But it also tells me there's more to come. And there absolutely is more to come from this French team. And any team that can actually play with the handbrake on for periods in a game, well, you know they're not bad.
That result for Senegal, incidentally, a little glance to the BBC Sport website where they've got that predictor page where it tells you and works out all the combinations.
I know what you're going to say before you say it.
Well, I was actually going to say Senegal have now climbed up. They were in the bottom 4, but they've climbed up into 5th position now, which would be encouraging for them. As a result, I can see you glaring at me without even knowing. I'm not even looking at you. Scotland have dropped to 9th position. Now, there are a couple of results that could still nudge Scotland a little bit above that line. I don't think it will happen. But for Senegal, my point, Patrice, is that they've enhanced their claims. Hernandez with a wild drive off target, goal kick, they still lead 3-1.
Changing the subject very, very quickly indeed. Hernandez actually would have passed that there. Doué's on the left-hand side. Masses and masses of space there. Just needs to play a minute. It's a bad habit to get into to go and have a lash from there. I know the game's nearly finished, but Doué has got to tap in at the back post. You've got to be able to see that. Doesn't see that, and I think Doué will be disappointed.
Selvik then with the clearance downfield. We're into the 5 minutes of added time. Konate really threw himself at that. Kone now picks up this loose ball and goes forward. Mateta is ahead of him. Kone's still going. Kone to the edge of the area, and then he runs into the wall of Ostergaard as Nusa tries to spin away from Gusto. And they're quickly closed down there by 3 French players, and Norway get a throw.
Do you know, again, I think a very, very important thing about this game. Do you know, earlier in the tournament, when I watched a few Scotland games and other games as well, the referees weren't giving free kicks for the nudges. You know, a little barge in and you throw yourself to the ground. I've not seen it today. The players have stopped doing it. They've thought, well, they're not giving it, so we'll stop doing it. It's kind of helped the flow of the game a little bit, that the fact that it's not constantly stopped for these totally inoffensive little technical fouls, which I don't even think are fouls.
Turkey on the halfway line knocks it back to Gusto. France, with this 3-1 scoreline, will mean that they've won each of their last 6 World Cup games against fellow European sides. Belgium, Croatia, Denmark, Poland, England and now Norway. It is their longest run against any confederation. 3 from 3, top of Group I, going through as group winners. Cross comes in, the header is in. And Due with the header is up and running with his first goal at the World Cup finals. Sinks to his knees, closes his eyes. France have a 4th goal. Norway 1, France 4.
Yeah,
they're all getting in on the axe.
Yeah, and I'm delighted for Due because he should have been played down a couple of minutes before by Hernandez. He wasn't, but this time ball played to the back post, and not necessarily known for his heading ability, but that was a delightful header. Gets lots of pace on it, redirects it. There was pace on the ball anyway. Fabulous, keeper's got within about half a foot of it, no more than that. 4-1, and again, just shows you a little bit that when they have to dial it up a bit, when they have to push it on, when they have to get an extra goal, they've got the gears. There are gears they can go through, and they've just done it again there.
It doesn't matter which option France will go forward with this quartet, but they've all scored now. Doué, Barcola, Dembele and of course Mbappe.
Do you know he's actually standing on the penalty spot when he headers that there? And it just shows you that how good a header that is. Scoring a goal from that distance, so it's not easy. And so it's a very, very good one. But you're right, all the strikers all want to score because people remind them when they don't score, as everyone did with Dembele. So he's off the mark as well, and it relaxes a striker. It just relaxes you.
It's his 3rd goal for his country on what is his 10th appearance, and all 3 goals actually have been scored in the United States, because the 2 that he scored in March against Colombia, that game was played in Maryland. 4-1, stoppage time. Gusto with a back pass to Mike Maignan. Norway will say, well, we knew this was coming. We made the changes. There is the final whistle. Michael Oliver blows the whistle. And France, 3 from 3. One of the favourites for this tournament have warmed up rather nicely in the group stages. They're all scoring goals. Mbappe with 4, a hat-trick for Dembele today takes his tally to 4. On the evidence that we've witnessed in the 3 group games, knowing that they can still get better, this France team are going to take some stopping.
Yeah, before the tournament, my 2 names on my tongue were actually England and France. And I would say France and England now, if I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. It's spin that round the other way, just by what I've seen. But, you know, the other teams that can win it, but I think France are, without doubt, the team to beat. And there have been moments, more than moments, there have been halves that have been sparkling, really sparkling. I mean, the first half today described some of the forward play as Harlem Globetrotters, and it was. And they scored 3 goals. I think it could easily have been 4, 5, 6. And you smile at some of the ways that they play as well. But they play at a pace that I don't think anyone else is close to. That attacking at that sort of pace, with that sort of skill, I think they're way ahead of anyone else at this World Cup. But it takes more than attacking with pace. It takes defence, it takes organisation, it takes the whole deal, and also being able to do it in the big moments for 90 minutes. And there will come a time when they need to do it for 90 minutes. And we will find out when the big games come around. But so far, it's been a wee bit of a cruise for this team.
Thank you, Pat. The Norwegian supporters are still celebrating despite the heavy defeat that they've suffered here after making 10 changes. But a splendid hat-trick from Ousmane Dembele for France, and then that injury time goal from Doué. Asgard got what will turn out to be a consolation for Norway. Final score here in Foxborough, here in Massachusetts, was Norway 1, France 4. Kelly.
Deno, thank you very much. Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin will stay with us right through till 10:30 here on 5 Live, and we will reflect on that game and we'll look ahead. I mean, the guys have already talked a little bit about it, but France's chances of becoming the world champions this year, all kinds of records that they're setting at the moment, just pointing to the fact that it might well be their year. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Also in their group, it was already decided that France and Norway were going to be first and second, just the order to be decided this evening. So France finished top, Norway as runners-up, and then it was a straight shootout between Senegal and Iraq. Winner takes all match to get themselves in with a chance of progressing to the round of 32. They're in the final stages of that game. Sahil Sahi's watching.
Yeah, and it's gone the way of Senegal, Kelly. They're leading Iraq by 5-0. Iraq playing with 10 men after their defender Sulaka was sent off in the first half. Diarra scored the first goal. I thought it was Sek actually, but just seemed to come off the shin of Diarra. Sarr added a second in the second half, his third World Cup goal, before Papa Gueye came off the bench to score 2 thunderous left-footed goals, and Iliam Ndiaye of Everton has added a 5th. It's the first time an African country has scored 5 goals at the World Cup. So Senegal, they've improved their goal difference in the battle to finish in the top 8 third-place countries, and in doing so far have relegated Scotland out of the top 8. We're into the final few seconds here in Toronto. It's Senegal 5, 10-man Iraq 0.
Scotland could still finish in the top 8, but they do need results to go their way. And so far, every single scenario that they needed has gone in the opposite direction. Elsewhere, Sri Lanka have beaten Scotland by 3 wickets in the Women's T20 Cricket World Cup. And in Super League, it finished Leeds Rhinos 38, Hull KR 8, Castleford Tigers 14, York Knights 20. We'll be back to reflect on a big win for France, talk about their World Cup winning prospects after the BBC News with Ryan Dobney.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the UK and the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Thanks very much, Kelly. Good evening. The Venezuelan authorities say more than 900 people are now known to have died in Wednesday's huge earthquakes. The United Nations says around 50,000 people remain missing. Earlier in the day, a UK military flight carrying specialists from 14 UK fire services took off from RAF Bryce Norton to help. That team's being led by Merseyside Fire and Rescue. A new record high temperature for June has been set in the UK for the 3rd day in a row. The Met Office says a temperature of 37.3 degrees Celsius was recorded in Suffolk. Health leaders are warning the weather is affecting NHS services. Dr Robert Shooter is from the Specialist Cancer Centre, the Christie. He told 5 Live Drive what he'd seen.
People struggle to travel to hospitals during extreme weather events, so that means they can't access the radiotherapy or chemotherapy they need. We also expect that patients that are having chemotherapy, that are unwell anyway, higher extreme temperatures makes them more unwell. That means they're much more likely to be admitted to hospital and also disrupt their treatments.
A group of men who were due to go on trial in Manchester, along with a man accused of conspiring to drug and rape his unconscious wife, can now be named after reporting restrictions were lifted. But the husband can't be named in order to protect his wife's anonymity. He initially denied any wrongdoing, but has since pleaded guilty to a number of the charges, including rape. Network Rail says all lines affected by the Bedfordshire train collision will reopen in 3 days' time on Monday. Travel's been affected following last week's crash involving 2 East Midlands Railway trains. The driver of the train, 60-year-old Sean Burton, who was 60 years old, died in the incident. A 21-year-old man's been jailed for 3.5 years for assaulting 2 police officers and a member of the public at Manchester Airport in 2024. Mohammed Fahir Amars was previously convicted of attacking the officers as they tried to arrest him for headbutting a man in a cafe.